And how are you guys? And welcome to my first live video. I am Robert Astudillo, and people are going to know me now as Wobbasaurus Rex. So I want to welcome you guys and just invite you guys to have a conversation with us in the chat. Again, so this is kind of our first thing. This is something new that I've been wanting to do for the longest, but something new that I'm trying. So, it's going to be a learning experience for me, and also kind of putting myself here on the spot to do something new and do something different. For those of you that do not know me, my background is I am an educator and now an assistant principal at the school that I graduated from. So something that I've done for the last 10 years is taught a film and media course. And a lot of my students really enjoyed a lot of the films I show them, how to look at movies, how to break them down. And a lot of it influenced by the pop culture that I grew up with, all the shows and TV shows and the movies that I grew up with. And so with the pandemic, for the last couple of months, I've been reflecting on something, what do I want to do? I lost that connection of in-person instruction with my students. So I figured, how can I do this and not only just reaching out to my students virtually, but how can I take that content and actually make it public and get people interested in or talking about the same things that, that I grew up and love, and able to educate you guys, or at least invite you as part of the conversation to appreciate some of the films and TV shows and comic books and all sorts of things that you obviously see around me here. This is all the decoration that used to be in my classroom, which I've now moved here as we're starting to do cleanup and all at the school. I just figured, let me bring it here. Let me put a nice display up. And that way we can start talking about some of the very things that you see around me, and also some things that you guys will be, suggesting that we talk about. So I want to thank you for joining us. I do have a couple of people backstage, a good friend of mine that I grew up with, and also a coworker who's close with that has his own podcast, The Monsters of History. So I want to invite them in a little bit to come on, but I want to really talk about what this channel is going to be about. So again, if you're just tuning in, my name is Robert Astudillo at Wobbasaurus Rex. And again, thank you for joining my first live session. So this channel, the reason I created it is really to get people talking and get people, again, interested in the pop culture and everything that influenced us growing up. Something that I really envision in the channel is almost making it kind of the same lessons that I teach my students, but this time to the public, and being able to bring on, people that will be guest speakers and that we can talk about a specific subject that you guys will vote on. Some of the other things that we're going to be doing on is playing games. And as I mentioned in my post, everyone, there's an app called Quizzes, Quizzezz, spelled that way. And I invite you guys, when you get a chance, to download that app so that you can participate in some of the quizzes that we're going to be doing. So if you're just joining in, if you could like this video, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to get notifications whenever I post. And if you can share, this is, again, the only way you learn is if you kind of put yourself on the spot. So that's the purpose of this as well. Some of the other things that we're going to be talking about is we'll be highlighting certain media, certain movies, certain books, certain topics that we will break down visually. We'll look at the back and behind the scenes. My goal is to teach you guys a little bit about not only just film history, but also the film production, video production, and film theory, on breaking everything down that we see, not just visually, but also through sound, through editing, and through what we call a French term called mise en scène, which is everything that you see on the screen. So around you, we know that when you in this side of the world, we usually we read left to right. So the screen itself, when you watch, if we follow what's known as the rule of thirds, this screen is really broken down into 9 quadrants. Your eyes, whenever you watch a movie, tend to favorably go towards the right. And directors and cinematographers know that, and they do this on how they use that is psychologically. They try to get you to see things that are more pleasant on the screen, and that read well. The editing, good editors' jobs go unnoticed. They are invisible. So what we're going to be doing is describing everything that you see on the screen and what it means. So I want you guys to, participate in the chat. Tell us if you have any questions. And what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to bring on my first guest who will be here with us with the show, is my good friend and a co-worker, Christian Gonzalez. And he is the host of a podcast that he does, The Monsters of History. I'm going to bring him in now.
How's it going?
Christian, how are you? Welcome.
Doing well.
You're officially my first guest. So
I'm honored.
I want to thank you for, again, coming on. And, I figured you and I always had this discussion at work about, different things that we're into in pop culture, whether it be horror films, sci-fi films, or just things in general, not just movies, comic books, cartoons, anime, all sorts of things that you can go on and list and name. But I want to just, if you can just, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the Monsters of History, the podcast, which is an amazing podcast, by the way.
Thank you.
You definitely have to go and, for those watching, go and take a listen, because you will not be bored. Trust me, it's something that's very interesting about different topics that we also know growing up.
Sure. So, as Wobbasaurus already said, I run a podcast called The Monsters of History. And a little bit of background, at the same school that he is an assistant principal at, I teach history. Okay, and I also run the horror club. Ever since I was, I would say, probably in middle school, maybe early 4th grade, I was always into horror. Well, everything has an origin to it, and a lot like how we explain things even though we don't know how to explain it, that's how all these different monsters and legends and folklore and urban legends come about. And so I sort of try and put the things that scare us most into a historical context. And my very first episode, I know that this we're based in the New York area. My very first episode was on the Jersey Devil, which the history behind that, the legend is very interesting, but the history, at least I think so, is very strange. It started off as political slander. I'll leave it at that. Maybe you should listen to the podcast and find out more. But I talk about both urban legends and cryptozoological creatures, but also try and figure out what's going on with, say, serial killers or criminals as well. So I kind of bring both the real world and the fictional world into it.
Awesome. Now, one of the things that we should also note is that we are hosting from the state of New Jersey. New Jersey is an interesting state in that every state usually has its, its state bird, its state motto, its everything. But we have a unique situation here in that we have our state monster, and that is the Jersey Devil.
Yep.
We also obviously have the hockey team, the New Jersey Devils.
Sure.
But,
yeah.
One thing that I want to just point out is that, even growing up, I remember that's also part of the, the influence that I had that, was instilled in me with wanting to create and talk about stuff like that here on this channel. The Jersey Devil always fascinated me, as well as the Chupacabra, which I know was the last podcast that you did. And I remember growing up, and especially in the 90s, hearing the stories and the first news, breaking news on Primer Impacto and all that, and hearing that story. So, that last one was really, really interesting, and I'm looking forward to where that goes.
Thank you. Yeah.
So what can you tell me that you remember from the '90s? So you grew up more in the later part of the '90s.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The early part of the '90s. So what are some of the shows that you grew up with that you remember and recall that were your favorites?
Good question. So it's funny because I didn't actually grow up with cable, as a lot of us didn't.
Mhm.
I grew up
Sure.
with kind of like the original, whatever 60 channels, I guess, that you could get with antenna and things like that. So I would watch a lot of reruns. I would say that the shows I was most fond of, specifically in the '90s, was Hey Arnold, Doug, which I had a little bit of a mix of the New York Nickelodeon Doug and the Disney Doug. Uh, Batman the Animated Series, and then reruns of, say, Darkwing Duck and DuckTales. I specifically remember going to my cousin's house and watching those, Darkwing Duck and DuckTales, because they had more channels than we did. They had satellite TV and things like that. And so, uh, Hey Arnold, I really gravitated towards, because my dad also grew up loving cartoons, and he said, "Oh, like, this is kind of like the Fat Albert of your generation." And it's true, because growing up in New Jersey, especially you growing up in Hudson County, there's not a lot of cartoon characters that grow up in an urban environment. And my family, they grew up in West New York, which it's not part of New York. It's in New Jersey. It's a very densely populated town in New Jersey. And my sister always said, "Oh, well, does Hey Arnold live in West New York? Does he live where Abuela and Whittle, Abuela and Whittle, which is Grandma and Grandpa, live?" And no, he doesn't. But it definitely reminded me of kind of the environment that you grew up in, and sort of, I'm familiar with. And I think it's important to show that people come from different backgrounds, and the '90s was the me generation, me, and Hey Arnold was a very compassionate figure who was very selfless, and I think that was an important message to convey to kids. And you know whether you're rich, poor, live in the suburbs, a farm, a city, whatever, doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, I definitely remember Hey Arnold growing up on Nick and enjoying and tuning in every week. And I had a lot of, you could relate to the characters on that show.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of those things that when you think about the '90s, that definitely sticks out. You know, and then always joking. I remember in the '90s always joking around with people like, "Move it, football head."
Yeah.
Out of the way. So it's just like little icons, or just randomly going up behind somebody and just doing the. I can't find my flashlight right now, but doing the.
Yes.
Oh my God, what was the character's name that I can't remember?
Well, Helga beat him up.
Yeah, Helga used to beat him up all the time. So that was something that was definitely one of those shows that I remember. Growing up. But I also remember some of the shows that, looking back at it now, we're like, wow, was this for kids? Like Rocko's Modern Life and Ren and Stimpy, which I heard Ren and Stimpy is coming back now.
I saw
right here.
Comedy Central, which is I think the channel it should have always been on, or MTV or one of those.
Mm-hmm.
I was also thinking of I know it's not technically, although I think it started in 1998. Ed and Eddie.
Oh, Ed and Eddie, of course.
Although I don't know how '90s that it technically is. I don't know if it's.
I still associate it with that. That's the later part of the night. But let's see what some of the chat has to say. So,
Okay, sure.
What do you guys remember from the '90s? What are some of the shows that you guys remember growing up with? But yes, I do remember those shows, and also remember in Ed and Eddie the plank. I used to always want it every time. I used to take a piece of wood, and I used to, when I was little, I would draw on it, and I used to carry that around. I guess that's my early concept. That was way before I had Charlie, which by some people, let me do a quick cut here. 1 sec. For some people that probably the people that do know me, know that who Charlie is, but And then there's some people who do know me, who don't know who Charlie is. So to give you a sense of who Charlie is, I'm just going to cut to a second. Let me get a good shot of him. And then I'll cut to him. Here we go. So, in Ed and Eddie, the character that would walk around with a plank.
Johnny.
Yeah, Johnny. He would go around with his plank. Johnny 2x4, right? Wasn't it?
I think his last name was
carry around
2x4.
the 2x4, which was plank, and you'd carry around, and it almost be like a puppet in a sense. So for those people that do, let's see if they do this the right way. Nope. Cut away. That is Charlie. That is, I've had him now for about 12 years, and he's going to be a character on this show. So from time to time, he'll jump in and he'll co-host with me. And, a lot of people that are watching right now are familiar with Charlie. So I'm going to be introducing him, and, he'll be doing his breakdown on segments. So, yes, those people when you're sick. Yeah, so a hobby of mine growing up, believe it or not, it was ventriloquism. So I actually participated in the what's called the Maher course of ventriloquism. Let me pull that up. I got all my little things here on the side. You can actually do a course on ventriloquism. Even back then, it was like you did it at home. They send you a thing. And so this was it's called the Maher home course of ventriloquism, which I still have from long ago.
Oh my gosh!
No,
you know what?
Mm-hmm.
That's funny that you say that, because there was a catalog. I don't know what it was that came to my house every Christmas, and I saw the Howdy Doody ventriloquism dummy for sale in the catalog, and for whatever reason I wanted it, and I think it came with the same course. That it was, well, instead of peas, say something peas or something like that, and switch other letters, like switch one letter with another, because peas close your mouth. They don't want to see your mouth moving up and down and stuff like that. So instead of M, you say N or something,
Yeah. So
another.
So certain letters, like I think it was B, you would actually pronounce it as a me, a boy. Instead of a boy, you would say a boy. But when you say it with certain things, anything that was like that would cause a P pop, like a D or a P, anything that causes your lips to kind of pop together, pop out. So they would not pop out, but cause your lips to pop. Those were the letters that you would replace a certain pronunciation with, so that it sounded like it. So whereas you had boy, you couldn't say boy without moving your lips,
right?
Boy. But if you go with a V, if you say boy, but with your mouth closed, you go boy. You almost speak with your tongue, in a sense, in that you're only controlling you're moving your tongue itself while your mouth is slightly. And then you could talk slowly and more like this, and still try to get people to understand what you're saying. So I'll be, that's something that I continue to do. I never finished the second half, but apparently you can continue, even if something so long ago. So I am looking to complete to get the actual certificate. But that's something that I know people that haven't. There are certain people that know me that never knew that part, that little hobby that I had of ventriloquism. And today I will be doing a couple of unboxings, and if you stick around to the end, you're going to see something quite bizarre and interesting. So what I'm going to do right now is actually I'm going to bring in another one of my guests, and that is a longtime friend of mine, Jonathan Ruda, who's driving right now. So this is going to be interesting. We might actually see him crash. I hope he doesn't, but I'm joking.
You'll get more views.
Ruda, how are you? You're alive, Daru.
Am I on?
Yeah,
this is really happening. Am I on?
Yes, this is really happening. Oh. So you're on.
Hello, friends.
Well, so Ruda, I want to
welcome.
How's it going?
I want to welcome you to the, to my first live stream. We're talking about the 90s. So what are shows from the 90s that you
Ah,
grew up with? What are some of the ones
the
that
golden
you
age. Well, I heard you guys talking about Hey Arnold. Hey Arnold was probably one of the most like impressive shows, way ahead of its time.
Mhm.
Before anything, I could like anybody could agree to that. But that show was way over its edge. Another good show was the ones that you said that were really messed up. The How Is This a Show? Invader Zim and Courage
Yeah.
the Cowardly Dog.
Yeah.
Oh,
Those
courage.
shows were beyond messed up. I'm surprised Nickelodeon greenlighted Invader Zim because there was some dark stuff in that show that I was very surprised to see as a kid. Watching it now as an adult, it blows my mind. It's like, how did they get away with this so well? Um,
Well, Ruda, let me
Billy
tell
and
you something.
Mandy, The Adventures of Billy and Mandy was good.
Yeah. Another reason why I'm doing this channel is to bring in people from our past that we haven't seen in a while. And guess what? You're driving. You don't know this. But in the chat, we have Shut Up Juan and we have Brzezinski and we have Ankit. They're all on. I want to just take a moment
Oh wow!
and just say a big thank you to who you see in the chat there, Mr. Johnson and the Juice Crew. That is my good friend John Brzezinski, who did the amazing artwork that you see in my logo there, where he captured.
You
And
did a great job.
Brzezinski's always done. He's such an amazing artist. He has a great talents. He used to do the artwork for our shows, the background. And what I love about Brzezinski, it's like I can just tell him exactly what I was thinking, and he can improve upon it. It's almost he can really capture, illustrate my imagination so well. And I want to thank him because I owe it to him that I had this amazing logo that you see. If you go to my Instagram, right there at Wobbasaurus_Rex, you'll see a closer picture of the logo that you see above Ruda, aka Beaver. And I something just told me I wanted a picture of me as a Funko Pop, dressed, trying to cosplay, trying to get dressed in a cosplay outfit of a Tyrannosaurus with my cat and my dog preventing me and struggling because they're like, right, one's pulling my tail, the other one's just gripping onto me. So I just thought that captured everything that I really wanted in that. So it was perfect in terms of capturing, essentially, just for those people that know me, capturing me on that. So again, a big thank you to Brzezinski there in the chat, to Mr. Johnson and the Juice Crew who's there, and let's hope that that Ruda doesn't crash. Another big shout out to a good friend of mine, Giancarlo, or JC as we call him, that you see there in the chat. If it wasn't for JC, I wouldn't know how important these Funko Pops and how important the stickers on them were. To me, before anything, I have next to me my first Funko Pop that was given to me by a former student of mine, Moses Garcia. He gave me this. Yes, we know, for everyone who knows Moses, we love Moses. This is my first.
Love that kid.
My first Funko Pop, and obviously it's out of the box. Let me get a good shot of it. And it's Captain Phasma. I got its bottom plate somewhere in the thing, but that really, when he first gave that to me, I was like, this is interesting. This little bobblehead. What are these things? I didn't realize how these things were going to take off, and how popular they were, and the community that exists, that collect these things. So while this channel won't just be about, we are going to be talking about Funko Pops, but it's not just going to be devoted to that. The name of it, which at first was going to be Talking Pop, I changed it to What's Poppin', because I want that to be the cat, because it's different. We're talking about pop culture. We're talking about more than just a pop figure. So it captured. Well done. We need a Wob Funko Pop. Awesome. There's a lot of Wob. In fact, I don't have the Wob effect displayed yet, but I am still moving things, around me and putting things in place. But you haven't been over since I did all this and I updated all this, Ruda. But you'll see. Trust me. When you come to the entire collection here, if I do a quick little pan of this new setup. Let's see if I can get a better sense of the scale of this. I took up the whole wall. I didn't realize it was going to be so much.
He's got a lot of pops.
Yeah. For someone who initially said, I'm never going to do this thing. Why am I going to collect these things, these little bobbleheads? And sure enough.
And then everything changed.
Let's see. The 2. So just get a better sense of the scale. Yeah, this is you'll see by R2D2 and BB-8 that actually work. That's
Roger Rabbit.
You see that Godzilla up there? That little, that was a swear jar in my class. Remember the swear jar?
Yeah.
Let me pan over a little bit. That right there.
That swear jar, man.
That's the swear jar. Anyone who cursed, they had to put a quarter, 50 cents, or $1, depending on what it was. The Infinity Gauntlet, Alf, my T-Rex skull you can see there. We're going to quickly, the reason why I did this is because I want to address one little thing that happens to be right there. And there's a story behind that. You see that Batman mask, and Beaver's laughing. Gene, Carlos, JC, who's in the chat. Let's see if you can give one word in the chat of what that story is behind that. What would it be, JC? Yes. He's laughing over here, and you're driving, so this is fitting because I got a story for you.
I parked my car. I'm totally safe. I assure you, I am safe. Oh so man, that mask,
Batman mask, which I'm gonna just realize. I'm gonna cut away back to me here for a second. So here's the story. It's a little bit of a secret. So I'm gonna say it to you now.
It's not gonna be a secret now because you're gonna put it all over the interwebs.
Sorry. Well,
I wouldn't be surprised if the 2 people that were involved in that see this one day and they're like all crazy.
It was not my fault. So here's the story. If you watch the scream stream that I'm usually a part of on Fridays, is that a long story short is I was wearing it. We were driving. I was in the back seat of a car, and I had the mask on, and we were dancing. We're on our way to the beach or something, and I noticed to the left that someone was looking at me, and I'm like, okay. And then I looked and I see that it's these two girls, these 2 women, and they're there and they're like waving one is waving at me, and I waved back, but I was dancing in the back. It was back of your Mini Coupe. It was that little tiny car, but I had the whole back to myself, and so I wave, I say whatever, and then I start dancing, and she's like trying to say beat the horn. So I'm like, oh, beat the horn. They're not even paying attention. It's Ruda's just
driving, so I don't know what the hell's going on.
So I turn over, and then I see that the girl tries to get the attention of the driver to say, oh, look, this guy's wearing. I had the Batman mask on, so because I was just, why'd you even have that mask back there? What was it?
I got it,
Batman.
I got the mask because it was Batman's, I think, 74th anniversary during that year. Mm-hmm. And me and my ex-girlfriend, we went to the comic book store to get all the Batman stuff, and they were giving out those masks. And I just took one, and she took one, and I just left that one in the car. And I regret that ever since.
I was just keeping myself entertained in the back by dancing to the music, and then I put the Batman mask on, which caught the attention of this one girl. And so when she tries to show her friend, look at this guy dancing, and I waved, they waved back, and I'm just doing a dance. I don't realize, well, I didn't because I was just whatever. They're focused on me and don't realize that the car in front of them stopped.
Oh my gosh.
So just, bang. And it wasn't, anything too crazy, but it was a bit of a fender bender that happened. But there's a story behind.
Bro, I saw their bodies ricochet. That was no fender bender.
That mask there.
That mask has caused so much trouble.
It's cursed.
It is insane.
So it is
cursed.
That school there you see is that PBA Selfish. That's a hat that I got from a school of a good friend of mine, Jazz, who is, who I hopefully will have here as a guest one day to promote the business that she's on. But when I went and I to their school and visited, they were giving out these hats from this school. So, I love the hat. It's a little sailor hat. So I've had it since, and they ask you what stuff you're from New Jersey, my name, what I do. I was just a film teacher back then. And below it, obviously, the child, or as we all call it,
Baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda. Some people go crazy calling it Baby Yoda. And of course, the big Funko Baby Yoda and a plushie Funko Baby Yoda. So I got more stories as I go around, and we could have this discussion. But obviously, here's another story for you. Everyone knows who that is.
Roger Rabbit.
It's Roger Rabbit. So the first time if my mom's watching, she'll appreciate this. The first time that I ever went to Disney World, this was back when they used to do they had like the Honey I Shrunk the Kids, and they had the Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Awesome.
They had a Who Framed Roger Rabbit scene. It was like you took pictures in like the set of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, or something that looks like it. So I was little, obviously, and what they used that Roger Rabbit for was to get, kids' attentions. They would wave it and they would take your picture. So I was doing, the little pictures that you take with, I believe I was taking a picture with, because I was in love with the Little Mermaid when I was young. I thought she was beautiful. And there's a picture somewhere. I got to find it. So it's a picture of Ariel. And obviously I was distracted easily, and you'll see it. But so to keep my attention, they were waving this Roger Rabbit, and I like Roger Rabbit. So after we took the pictures, I wanted it, but the guy was like, "Oh, it's not for sale," And so I was like, "All right, whatever." I was like, if they sold it, well, my parents asked. Obviously, I was too little to be asking. This is 1990, and so my father, at the time when we finished the picture, we're leaving. We're walking away. We're like a good distance away from the booth where I took the picture. And then my father just randomly turns to me and says, don't forget the prize that they give you. You get to keep that, because the photographer stepped away for 2 seconds. So I walked over, grabbed it thinking it was mine, and I kept it. And I never knew. And then when I reconnected with my father years later, because he had left for a moment, he wasn't around, but we had that story. He told me, he told me, the story behind that thing? And then I was like, oh, so it has a story. Everything that's going to be around me has a story with it. And of course, like I said, as we continue kind of moving around here, Charlie is unique. Charlie is, like I said before, he's going to be a character here on this show. Back in 2007, this is around the time that the movie Dead Silence came out. I really wanted a ventriloquist. I've always liked ventriloquism. I always wanted to try it out. I had the course, but I didn't have a ventriloquist dummy. Don't call him dummy. He gets mad. So what I did was I got my first refund check from college because I had a scholarship to give you extra money. And so with the extra money, I purchased a replica. Charlie's a replica of a Charlie McCarthy, a famous ventriloquist puppet from Edgar Bergen, another very famous ventriloquist. So he is that, but I've obviously changed his clothes. He's dressed like that, in case anyone's wondering. No, he's not a blood. The reason why he has
is he a gang member?
No, he has an orange bandana and a red bandana because we were part of a Ninja Turtle stream the other day. So we were wearing the colors. I had the purple and blue.
Right.
Obviously,
Ninja Turtles.
We'll see more of Charlie soon. That belongs to a friend of mine that needs to come and pick it up. A Purge mask. We'll see obviously the Hulk, the Infinity Gauntlet for. Let's try to get close to that. The Infinity. Is that not a name for it? It's the Infinity Gauntlet for Thanos, but what's that one? Now that I think about it, then obviously
which one?
What's popping? The Iron Man one.
Oh, yeah, that's the one that Hulk put on.
You can see Emmett Kelly. It's hard to tell, but that's a porcelain. Well, and of course Michonne's. That was the year when I first went to Comic Con. Well, no, that's my second Comic Con at New York Comic Con. That's the Michonne replica sword. They don't sell. That was the year that they stopped selling swords because I think someone attacked Jason David Frank. Did I say that name? JDF?
Yeah. So wait, that's the real sword, right? Before they stopped selling them? That was
Yeah,
the legit
that's
one?
the real one before they started selling them.
Now they put them in stupid styrofoams and it just looks retarded. Ugh.
Trying to do this and multitask here a little bit. I learned to do multi-camera angle on this. I didn't know that was a thing. And so so bear with me here. Let me just jump into that chat here. McDorks, how are you? McDorks, welcome. You think that clown's scary, McDorks?
Oh,
wait till the unboxing later. I have coming up.
Oh God.
So, yep, I got a couple of things on deck. I'm just, we're obviously here, just kind of just showing a little bit of that background. But, one of the shows that that stuck out to me the most in the '90s, obviously, was Power Rangers. I have extreme love for the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, as well as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Right? If you watch the show on Netflix, The Toys That Made Us, there's an episode on the Power Rangers and on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And if you notice, when the names Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles obviously came out first, but the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, it's the same. It was like a play on the same words. So that was something that Saban Haim Saban and Chucky Levy, who were the creators basically of the Power Rangers, they wanted something that was catchy. They wanted something that would sell. It was really in the business of the merchandise, selling of the toys, which, let's see, they thought that, are people going to actually buy these figures? Are people actually going to keep them? Where are we going to make money off of these figures? And I don't know, you tell me what you think, because here I am years later and I still have them. There's Serpentera in the back, the biggest one. But Mighty Morphin Power Rangers just came out also with a board game, not a board game, but a game. If you like Dungeons and Dragons and whatnot, it's something like that. But it's Heroes of the Grid. And you'll see behind here that I have the whole set, and this thing has been, quite the expense on collecting them all. But I wanted to talk about what you guys remember of the Power Rangers. What was your take on them?
Mostly everything.
I hardly remember anything, to be honest, but I do remember I had a VHS of some TV special where the gray or the silver one turned evil, or
okay.
Like
so you're more the next generation.
Yeah.
I think that's Space.
Beaver and I are.
I remember.
Say that again.
And things like that, but not.
Mm-hmm. Say that again. You cut out there for a second.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh no, I remember like SPD. I don't even remember all the show's names, but I remember SPD.
Ruda and I grew up on what we call the Zordon era, what's known as the Zordon era.
Yeah, I remember Zordon. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was pretty much kind of for me. Power Rangers ended at the end. Power Rangers in Space. I know it continued. It continues to this day, but that's usually the appreciation I have of that time period. It's cheesy, but still what captured, I think, the 90s. Back in 1993 when it was released. And what most, a lot of people know growing up, but most people there are probably people out there that don't know this, but the Power Rangers is actually based off of a show that existed way before.
Yeah.
Japanese, Zayu Rangers. There's different names for it, but the Zayu Rangers is what it was called. Basically, what Saban Entertainment did was they took the stock footage of the Japanese film and then
Then they dubbed
re-recorded, then basically recorded new footage and just intertwined it with, so the editing in it's interesting. The costumes they used and recycled, and of course they redubbed the audio. Go ahead.
Mhm.
Also, you should get Russell into this because he knows so much about Power Ranger stuff, like the origins and everything. If you ever want to have like a Power Rangers thing, bring Russell in. He's one of my
I
good
will,
friends.
yeah.
This guy
So,
knows his stuff.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna start off with baby steps. We're gonna go by week for now until I see that there's a trend going, and then we could go further. But we're gonna pick a topic. We will eventually get to the Power Rangers, and then that's when I'll bring on. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring on panels that are like specifically versed on the topic we're doing. And what I'm gonna also start doing. This is kind of just like our pilot. So we're gonna go through our little growing pains here, and you'll see some
I hope the
little
network picks us up.
technical error bumps or whatever, but bear with us. So I appreciate, just real quick, the people in the chat. There's a couple of new people I know and friends of mine. Of course, again, a big shout out to McDorks for jumping in. I believe they're in Florida. Of course, a good friend of mine, Eric, two boys and their pops, who I owe a tremendous thanks to for getting me out of my, helping me come out of my shell on going on live. Eric and another friend of ours who's in the chat, big shout out to Dallas House of Pride, who really invited me onto their what they call the Scream Stream on Friday nights. They highlight a specific horror film, which Christian Friday, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. So
Sounds good.
when they invited me to their first episode, I became like one of their resident guests that breaks down the psychology of the horror films. And I owe a big thanks to Eric, the two boys and their pops, for inviting me on and continuing to invite me on, and for really introducing me to the community. Unfortunately, one of my other guests that's supposed to be here, who's not here, is John Pietro. Basically, I grew up with him. We go back to when we were in diapers. LBD, as the community knows him. But LBD right now, because of the storm that happened here that came across New Jersey, he does not have power, so I couldn't bring him. A big shout out to Kind of Mainstream. Thanks for coming on. And for, of course, Mitch. Mitch is another good friend of mine. I just finished doing a big buy from Mitch. So I'm hoping that I'm going to attempt to do another one on Saturday, another one of these lives at around 7:00. And I'm going to hopefully by then I'll have the box that Mitch sent me that I'm going to do an opening that's themed on another show from the 90s. I won't say. You got to tune in. You got to come and see. So I want to again thank everyone that's in the chat. I want to get this conversation going, and I want to hear from. I also really I like participation. That's Christian. How many times do we say that as teachers? I want to hear from you guys. Chat. We want to hear from you guys. What are shows from the 90s? What are shows from the 90s that you remember? Let's hear from you guys.
Rugrats. Who said that? Whoa.
Can I just say one more thing about?
Yeah, go ahead. We could continue talking while we're there. We're not, because if we wait, then it becomes that awkward silence.
I just want to say one more thing about Power Rangers. I remember.
Christian, you're cutting in and out for a second. Hold on.
You're losing connection.
Yeah, you cut out in and out there. But go ahead, say that again. We have the chat jumping in here.
No, I was saying that one of my birthday parties was Power Rangers in space. The space.
Oh,
Power
nice.
And it was themed. They were dressed like people were dressed like that, like paid characters, right? Costume guys. but it was in the place Sports World in Paramus, New Jersey. I don't know if you remember or have ever heard of Sports
I remember
World,
Sports World.
but it closed eons ago.
Yeah.
But it was honestly, whenever I talk about it with someone not from northern New Jersey, they are like, "What?" But it's an arcade, a laser tag place. It had that ride inside. It had mini golf. It had
It had everything.
party room. It had everything.
It had
The
everything.
chat
It was a
has-
perfect kids world.
The chat is coming up with some really big blasts from the past. Freakazoid. Remember Freakazoid?
Wow.
I used to love the Lobe. Remember the Lobe? Was one of the villains. It's just a big brain.
Yeah.
That's Freakazoid Brzezinski.
Didn't
Obviously,
Steven
Big Cat.
Spielberg made that?
Was
Yes.
it? Oh, yeah, it was
Spielberg.
Spielberg. Yes.
Steven Spielberg made that show back
Yeah.
in the day for Kids
Freakazoid.
WB.
That was a fun show. Beetleborgs from JC saying Beetleborgs, of course. Full House,
Animaniacs.
Captain Planet, Keenan and Kel. Oh my God, who loves orange soda?
All
Oh,
that.
Lord,
The
soda.
original All That.
All
Don't forget
That.
that one.
We got Seinfeld, of course. Let's see who else. Oh, there's a lot coming in. Saved by the Bell. Looney Tunes, of course. I remember Tiny Toons. Remember
Tiny
Tiny
Toons.
Toons? Tiny Toons and Tom and
Oh, when they
Jerry
were babies.
kids. What else? Of course, Family Matters. Let me tell you, when I was little, thank you for bringing that up, Eric. Is the Rhoda, I'll unmute you in a second. But Family Matters. Let me go back to that. When I was little, that show was such an, believe it or not, and now that you mentioned that, Eric, that show was such a big inspiration for me in that I want to say at that age is when I really saw what some of the characters like Steve Urkel, who would do crazy inventions and whatnot. All of that is what I want to say inspired me to do all these bells and work, tinker with, breaking things apart, learning how to put them back together. That was because of Steve Urkel. I always loved Carl Winslow. I thought Carl Winslow was a perfect father figure. I really enjoyed his character, and just the family dynamics of that show was just, I think, way ahead of its time. I love the fact that it highlighted an African American family that,
Yes.
and just the barriers that I felt that broke, even for me, just appreciating that show much more, in my opinion. And I know this is going to probably be controversial, but much more than the Cosby Show. I loved Family Matters. I would wait every time I heard that theme song. I just couldn't wait to just see what was going to happen in a new episode. But the Winslows, all of that is something that I really enjoyed. And I would use it from time to time in my media studies class. I used to show the Cosbys, obviously, because the impact that it had, and up until the recent controversy over Bill Cosby, and then he went out the window. And I was like, you know what, Family Matters is such a great show in terms of how it can, reflect and highlight a lot of the same key points I would on the Cosby Show.
Well, I'll say this.
And the Fresh Prince.
One of the courses I taught this year was media portrayals of race and religion in the United States. And one of the units I had for my course was blacks in sitcoms. And it really shows the progression. This is talking outside 90s, but I think it's important. Happy Days was an impoverished black family in Chicago with really almost no hope of achieving anything. Then the Jeffersons, showed working class blacks, entrepreneurs, literally moving on up. That was what the theme song was. Cosby Show, that was almost like, since Bill Cosby created it, I felt it was almost like an unrealistic image for any American family. Doctor, lawyer, kind of Ivy League educated, very rich family.
Mm-hmm.
But Family Matters shows what I feel is like a very obtainable family dream. A upper middle class family that does well for themselves, and someone, not just anybody, but an African American figure who is not just a member of the community, but a leading light in the community as a police officer. And I know that has controversy now because of what's going on, but the traditional model is that the police are like a sort of a trusted figure in the community, someone who leads the community and things like that.
Exactly.
And then, and then it evolved into, I'm surprised no one said, what's it called? Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
That did come up in the chat right after. Yeah, of course, Fresh Prince.
Immense wealth. I mean, immense wealth, something that is almost completely unattainable. So in my course, I taught my students that it sort of progresses, that it goes from the complete bottom to the absolute top of society, and it shows that with a black family, and I found that very interesting.
Yeah, and then one of the things that when I cover that in my media studies course is when we talk about being African American in TV land. Basically, if you look at shows back in the 50s, such as Amos and Andy, and the portrayal of African Americans it's very controversial when you look at
Absolutely,
it. You know, they never portrayed them as someone that could be, who can be successful. Minorities can't be as successful as you would if you watch a show like Donna Reed or Father Knows Best. Really, those barriers started breaking when I Love Lucy came out, and of course, you fast forward to the 80s into the 90s, maybe 70s, 80s into the 90s, that transition. But by the 90s, you get a successful African American family like you do see in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Of course, again, emphasizing, I don't forget about Cosby, but I don't like talking about it. I appreciate the show. I did love the show growing up, but too controversial in that sense. But Uncle Phil being a successful, a lawyer, a judge, and all. I just such a powerful character, Uncle Phil and Carl Winslow. I love both of them growing up, and in a strange way, I almost looked up to them as my TV father figures. And those, so that is something that when James Avery, the actor who played Uncle Phil, passed away, I was, it felt like a family member passed away. So, what is everyone's thought on that? Something, I know everyone's telling us different suggestions and their ideas to talk about. Hercules, of course, Xena, Sonic, Underground, Celebrity Deathmatch. All these are great shows, but what are some of the shows that you would say that there were certain characters that you just knew? And like for me, it was definitely Uncle Phil and Carl Winslow. Those two characters are like family to me in from the 90s. Does anyone in the chat have any similar stories, or do you have any similar things with some of these characters from them, Christian? What are some of those people or characters that stuck out to you?
Yeah, I liked Grandpa to go back to Hey Arnold. I liked Grandpa Phil, Steely Phil, as they called him on the show, because I think it shows such a major truth that the older you get, the smarter and wiser you get. But also, I think the ultimate lesson that Steely Phil taught himself and taught Arnold and the neighborhood was, don't take yourself all too seriously. Maybe you should think about what others need that maybe you can give up. And, Grandpa Phil is kind of, a funny character, but he was also the advice giver. And I remember a few years ago, I saw on Facebook, from probably Nickelodeon Rewind on Facebook, who gave the best advice. And it was, Doug's neighbor and Doug. It was Grandpa Phil. It was a few other characters, but Grandpa Phil won like by a mile.
So two Phils in this by both of us. Harriet, another mom figure that we're hearing in the chat here. Real quick, I gotta do a big shout out also to Dead Zone. Dead Zone, thank you for joining in the chat. A good friend of mine from the community out in, I believe it's Arizona, and I have an unboxing in a little bit. We'll bring him on. I'll send you guys the link in shortly. But we do have a couple unboxings. I got one from Dead Zone that I'll be doing shortly. Hopefully I don't cut myself live on TV with doing this. So I, yes, I see that people are talking about, I see people, bringing up people from the family, role models. My biggest role model, Brian from Family Guy. That's funny. His advice very expensive. JC brings up a good point in that another thing about Uncle Phil is that he never let the family, never let the riches or that lavishing lifestyle get to them. They never,
That's true.
embellish it. It was very much, know your, don't forget your roots and being humble and all, making sure that you never, rubbed, people's faces that you were rich or not, whatnot. I love a lot of the powerful episodes in that. I used to, I mean, I used to show it, but I thought it was a little too much. But just here's the example of the impact that the Fresh Prince had, especially in the 90s. When I show the episode, and I'm probably going to get a little personal here. Those that know me know that my father and I had a very strange relationship, in that he was in and out of my life. Thankfully, now he's in it again, and hopefully it stays that way. But a lot of my students were in similar situations. So when I would show that episode, I normally had to kind of give a heads up and a warning and have tissues and whatnot, because I would always let student services know that, listen, I'm going to be showing this episode because it hit home for a lot. And every time I watch that, I get emotional. The scene of when Will meets his father, his father comes back in the picture, that ending, it's very powerful. And, that's one of those scenes, and I think in TV history, that is one of the most iconic. That scene, especially at the end, when Will Smith is, he's going on. Will is going on about, he doesn't understand why he doesn't want him, or just like how he's going to be a man. He learned how to be a man at a young age. So I couldn't relate. It made it very personal for me. And then Uncle Phil's obvious, just embracing and being that figure for him was very powerful, very moving. And every time I watch it, you get choked up. Even think about it, you get choked up because it's that impactful. And it almost felt like as JC was saying, it almost felt like it wasn't acting. It was like there was real
raw emotion.
It was raw emotion, and I think that was very important and very impactful. But that's one show. To getting back to another one, I always loved Greek mythology, and I always loved that stuff. But remember Hercules and Xena? Was that your time? Do you remember that show? I don't know if did I lose Christian?
About right.
There you are. Okay, you glitched there for a second. So what is something that you recall from Hercules and
I know
Xena?
that. No, I know that's Chris Sorbo.
Yes.
Hercules.
Kevin Sorbo. I think.
Yeah, I remember that it was I remember it ran for a long time, and I know that some of his political and personal views kind of ruined his career to the point where he's no longer on anything. But
yeah,
I know that it was kind of running off the sort of the high that Arnold Schwarzenegger created with Conan the Barbarian. That it was kind of based off that. And it's interesting because I feel that the 90s, for the most part, has a very unique show structure to it. I feel that the 80s sort of was a bit more formulaic, but the 90s sort of they had all sorts of shows. The only thing I can think of with the 90s is that they had a trend with kind of like noir stuff, if you really think about it. We'll get back to that later. I just remember that that part of the reason why Hercules was put on hiatus, at least, was because Chris Sorbo got sick or something like that. Yeah, that he had some sort of rare disease. I don't know if it had something to do with his lungs or his intestines or kidney. It was kidneys, I think. Chat, correct me if I'm wrong. But it was put on hiatus, and part of that was the reason why Hollywood didn't really want him anymore. That's pretty much the only thing I remember, besides it ran for a long time. It ran for a long time, and it was kind of a clone, sort of Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah. So one of the other things that I remember just growing up was the practical effects in some of these shows, and just
Sure.
right. So what are your thoughts on practical effects in the '90s versus CGI? Now we gotta, for a moment, you have to. And I always say this to people: forget. You have to kind of How do you unforget what's new today? Like, try to remember in the '90s that these graphics were amazing. So but back then, what's your take on practical versus CGI?
I love practical effects. Um, Anytime I see a display or a demonstration of practical, I love it. And my friend and I talk about it all the time. That some of our favorite films are some of the Ray Harryhausen films,
Oh yes.
and we get a taste of that with some Tim Burton stuff, with Nightmare Before Christmas and stuff like that. Growing up like that, and my friend made a point that practical was only getting better and better. I don't know if you've taken a look at some of the movies from the later 80s and earlier 90s where practical is used, but some of the stuff looks like for lack of a better term, God created it, not it
Mhm,
wasn't made in a backlot. You know what I mean?
mhm.
But it's funny because I the when someone says Power Rangers,
Yeah.
the first thing I think is like the pyro and like kind of like air cannon kind of stuff with Power Rangers,
Hmm.
and like a lot of smoke. I don't know why, but I think a lot of people need to remember that budgets for the 90s were kind of low. They needed to kind of roll out stuff every single week, and they would take the off season to create a lot of these episodes, uh, for a TV show. And TV shows are not like they are today, where The Sopranos sort of set off this concept that TVs are just as good, if not better, than movies when it comes to production.
Hmm.
Uh, I think people need to remember that a lot of the effects in the 90s were as best as you can get for a 30-minute, 23-minute with minus commercial segment uh, that was rolled out every week. And this goes back with, say, the Flintstones in the 1960s and 70s, where they used the same background over and over again. They needed to produce an interesting looking thing for kids in a short amount of time with a low budget. So I think it's impressive.
Agreed. And so let's hear what the chat now. Chat. I'm just one thing I'm trying to do right here is manage uh, on something here on the stream here that I'm getting blocked from something. But so bear with me as I'm trying to send people to become my mods. So, but as we're doing that, what is your take on, let's say, Are You Afraid of the Dark? Do you remember Are You Afraid of the Dark
Uh, I remember the premise. I
or
remember some of
Goosebumps?
the visuals. I remember Goosebumps a lot more, but I remember both. I remember both.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the formula for Are You Afraid of the Dark was really interesting because it was a club that would meet in the middle of the night and like tell stories and things like that. And I remember growing up, I always wanted to hear like I wish that was real, and I love anthology. I think I've grown as I've gotten a bit older. I'm not old yet, thank goodness, but I've grown to love anthology more and more. But it's funny because Goosebumps. It's funny you bring that up. The books and the show talking about churning out. Oh my goodness, R.L. Stein churned out those books. They were good, but same friend we were talking about practical effects with.
Hmm.
We decided to rewatch an episode, and you have to look at it with nostalgia goggles because looking at it with your aged brain, your more mature brain, it's kind of mediocre in my opinion. When I
Hmm.
was a kid, I loved it, and I think that it's great for a kid. But once you grow older, you realize like, oh, I aged out of this. Gee, uh, I thought it was tacky, and even as a kid, I remember the billboard turned into like Michael Jackson or something like that. Do you remember this?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, that it
And
was. Yeah,
there
it
was a
turned
lot
into
of things. Michael
Jackson.
Jackson used to freak me. That I remember being weirded out about.
Hmm.
My light's not cooperating with me right now. Hold on. Good.
No,
Hopefully,
I remember uh, when I was in elementary school, every Halloween, or if it fell on a weekend, the closest day to Halloween, we would have a costume parade, a party in the gym, and then we would go back to our individual classrooms. This was in grade school, and we would just have like a monster marathon, or like a whatever marathon of like horror movies, or appropriate for the age. And of course, like maybe we would go in between, like this was the entire day. Like I went to a private school, so that was kind of the day we had. And so we would watch Goosebumps episodes, and some kids had the VHSs or the DVDs or both, right? And I remember we used to love those as kids. We used to love uh almost pretending that we were in the same situation as the character was in. Like we would, at least I did, would think like, oh gosh, I'm in the mummy's tomb right now, or I'm in this neighborhood. Like I don't know, my imagination went wild with those. What about which one did you like better? Are You Afraid of the Dark or Goosebumps?
oh, that's a toughie. I have to say, I think there were a lot more "Are You Afraid of the Dark" episodes that traumatized me as a kid.
The
Than
visuals were very
the
like very
Goose.
dark.
Yeah, Goosebumps had that element scary, but it was still, I don't know. To me, it still seemed more kid. I mean, it's weird to say. It's like I felt it more. Looking back at it, I'm like, okay, that was more geared towards kids. I felt like "Are You Afraid of the Dark" had a lot more like, wow, this was like. See, I remember there was one episode. This one, it was like like a haunted house, and this. I just remember there was a kid, and it said like "Help me" on the stomach was like imprinted on
Yep.
it. Like, oh my god, that freaked me out. And then the clown episode.
The clown episode is probably the most
Clown
famous
episode
one.
is probably the one that freaked me out the most.
Yeah,
And
everyone
so
knows the clown
that's where,
episode.
yeah, so that's where I was just like, oh my god, like that gave me chills looking back at it. But the music too, and just that the match. I think it was a match that was lit
Yeah,
up.
it was a match.
That just iconic. When you look back at it, it's just very nostalgic. That
And that's the thing you need to remember too, is that you know
Mhm.
Goosebumps, I think for the most part, was on like network television, but Are You Afraid of the Dark was on cable. It was Nickelodeon, so it wasn't a satellite, or not a satellite. It wasn't an antenna channel, so they could get away with more, and they had a bigger budget because it was on Nickelodeon rather than Goosebumps, which I think was on Fox Kids.
Good. Was Goose on Fox? Jeez, I can't even remember.
I don't recall, but I think that they had to realize. I think for the most part, Goosebumps was more of like I wouldn't say daytime television, but it almost, now looking back at the episodes, they almost seem more like they had the camera work and themes of like a sitcom or like a soap opera than they did Are You Afraid of the Dark. Are You Afraid of the Dark had much more of a horror artistic flow. You talk about mise en scène before. The mise en scène for, or the setting and the camera work and angles were much more horror and macabre and Are You Afraid of the Dark than Goosebumps was. Goosebumps was much more like, I don't know, like the colors and like the angles remind me more of Seventh Heaven than it does a horror movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. Which, speaking of mise en scène, I noticed that you put the Jurassic Park Funko Pops there. I gotta appreciate that.
They're to the side.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm going to be rearranging this as I go. Okay, so one of the things that I am also going to be talking about is their, how mise en scène is affected. And basically, let me describe mise en scène again to people. So, for those of you in the chat, I'm going to write mise en scène. that is a French term that came from theater. So in theater, basically, whenever you have to put a set together, everything on the stage is part of the story. And so in film, everything that you see on the screen, including even right now, everything in the screen is part of the story, whether whether you like it or not. And so mise en scène is basically French for put in the scene. Everything you've seen in the scene that helps bring the story to life, helps people understand what everything. Not everything can be spoon fed to you, so it's basically what's around, what the cinematographer chooses to have around the characters or include in the shot is going to tell something. It's going to invite people to dig in deeper, a little bit more than the story. So we're going to be talking a lot about the mise en scène, and I want people to understand what it means in case people are wondering, like, well, what do you mean? So that is why I wanted to just take a moment to just explain what that is. But what Are You Afraid of the Dark? Why it was so, I think, so memorable is because of its play on its cinematography, its lighting, as opposed to Goosebumps. Everything was in your face. Mm-hmm. It was creepy and it was good. And don't get me wrong, it's not, so I want to make sure that people understand that I'm not dissing Goosebumps because it is great, but I just felt that
it was good for its time, correct, for the age group.
Yeah. But at least Are You Afraid of the Dark still has that psychological element of, wow, this is creepy. For some reason, I am not seeing someone in this chat, but I'm getting their messages over here. Anyway, as I work that out, here's another, just switching off of Are You Afraid of the Dark and that. SWAT Cats. Do you remember SWAT Cats? Was that before you?
It was a little before me. I think that's late 80s even. I don't
No,
know.
I think that was 90s, but SWAT Cats was it was basically as like
they flew in planes or something,
yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So let me see who else.
Yeah. I knew how it was spelled with a K. I just looked it up right now. It was it was 90s. The only memory I have of that is they flew in a plane or something. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But I want to sort of
you cut in again, in and out again.
The 90s, like kind of. No, I was saying, can you hear me?
You keep cutting in and out, but let me see if I can hear you now. Talk again. I can hear you, but there we go. I think you're good now.
Okay. So I want to get more into the noir. If that kind of the seedy, darker, and was thinking of this that Batman the Animated Series, Dark Duck, mm-hmm, and a few other shows competing with each other to be like the next sort of like detective serial drama, if you know what I mean. It was all, I feel, rooted in Batman the Animated Series.
We lost you again there, Christian. There you go. Hold on one second. Yeah. Let me just address something real quick. People are saying that there might be a YouTube, like a glitch where people were coming in and out. Let me bring in, let me just see. As we're, for those people who are looking, and there's a lot of people that know us that are on it, and a few people from the community. This is done on what we call a StreamYard. And I'm bringing in a good friend of mine, Mitch, as some people in the stream, obviously, and a man who needs no introduction. But for people that know me that are on this, that are not in the community and just supporting, this is a good friend of mine, Mitch, from the community, and I want to bring him in, who's been helping me in the background as I am, again, like I said, there's growing pains and, and obstacles and learning curves here. So, Mitch,
what's up, buddy?
Thank you for coming in, and thank you for your patience. I'm like trying to do this. I learned something I can do on here. I don't know if people are cutting in and out. Some people are saying that some people are glitching. I know Christian you were glitching a little bit, but I can see you guys fine now. I learned that you can do multiple angles on this. I didn't know you could do that. So
I think he's frozen again, Robert.
He is. I thought he was just staying still.
No, he's frozen.
All right.
You can drop him out and bring him back in.
Yeah, let's see.
He may just not have a good connection. And you can also change this view. There you go.
Yep. We had the three of us before, but Bruto, the first one, dropped out. So again, here we are. Let me try to bring in Christian again. Let's see. Christian, I think your internet connection's a little laggy, so I'll bring you right back. See if you can just restart, and I'll bring you right back in. But
yeah,
Mitch, while doing that, I want to say thank you for being one of those again. With there's so many people, and I know that have tuned in. My cousin David has joined us. Welcome, David. But Mitch, thank you so much for also, your support and for helping me, introducing me to other people in the community. I wish LBD was able to be here, but unfortunately the storm knocked out his power. So hopefully we will have him on. But while I have you, I wanted you in on my first stream. I just wanted to know if you would be. I have a lot of people that know me. Some of these people I've taught in the past, a former student of mine. Some of them are friends, some are family that are in and out of this. Would you be able to describe, I hate to put you on the spot, but what the StreamYard is for people that don't know what it is? Obviously, people here in the community are like, oh, this is obvious, but there's a significant amount of people in here that are not aware of what it is and what the community, how the community uses this and what the community does.
Well, I mean, StreamYard is basically it's very similar to like Zoom, where people do meetings and things of that nature. But it's just it's one that's widely used in the community to go onto YouTube and do live streams and stream it directly to YouTube. You can actually stream on this. You can actually stream to YouTube. You can stream to Facebook. You can stream to Twitch. I mean, you can stream at multiple platforms. But it's just a tool that we use in the community to do live streams and chat with each other, interact with each other, and that's just the way we go on live with YouTube. It's a lot easier than some of the other ones like OBS, or there's different things like this that you can use. But some of them are based around Skype. You have to use it with Skype, and this is just basically a browser-based streaming.
Platform
in the words here.
Yeah,
but it's browser-based, so it's easier to bring people in because you can just send them a link, they hop right in, and it loads it up for you. You can come in on your phone, you can come in on a laptop, you can come on a tablet, anything you have. So it's really easy. It's easier for everybody to use, and easy. I like easy.
Yes, and it is simple. Again, as I'm doing this, I'm learning as I go. As you can tell, there's certain things that I'm like, okay, I should have done that a little bit earlier. But I learned that you can do. What I did was I plugged in another camera so that if I'm doing any unboxing, I can just cut to something else, another angle.
Right.
A little behind the scenes for those people that I see in my new setup. But I figured, just get it all, figure out what you can and cannot do. But it seems interesting that we're going to be seeing the new the new people that have been introduced to the community. What I want to do is actually talk about the community right now, and let me just give a quick little backstory of how I got involved.
Hey, Robert,
yes.
can I interrupt you for 1 second?
Yeah, yes.
So I might be able to help you out with something. Keep that thought, but I don't want to interrupt you. But when you're doing this, just a little note.
Yeah.
If you pop the chat out of YouTube,
yes.
you can make people mods and do all those sort of things through there, and click that little tab, like I said, to click it to live chat so you can see everybody. Because sometimes you won't be able to see everybody's comments, so you can't mod them.
Okay, thank you. I just popped it out, and it's here. I see it here on the side.
Yeah, the little thing at the top left, it says live chat or top chat.
Got it. Got it on live chat now.
Okay, then you can see everybody, and then you can, like, if you wanted to, like, mod Christina or whoever you want. I mean, it's your stream.
Yeah, no, of course. I got I managed to get Eric modded, and then I'm pretty sure I just added Christina as well.
She types again. We'll see. It should be.
Let's see if they can. Should be able to now. And again, as this is new for me, guys, I appreciate it. Again, the growing pains, but also show support to Mitch's YouTube channel. Which thank you, Eric, for posting that. So go show him love too. So what happened of how I got introduced to this community was reconnecting with an old friend of mine, John Pierre, which a lot of you probably do know him who are watching, but those who don't probably know him more by LBD. I grew up with him, and he used to be my neighbor. We grew up, like I said, we go back to when we were in diapers. I had seen, I follow him on Instagram, I have him on Facebook and all, and I saw that he was posting these, things regarding the Funko pop figures, and I was like, that's interesting. So I tuned into one, and then, I just reconnected with him, and I'm glad because we had, I'd lost touch with him for a while. Life happens, but I'm glad that we got to reconnect, and he introduced me to Eric and Dallas and the Scream stream. And the rest is history pretty much. But I was introduced to this, community in the sense that they're a lot of the things that they're interested in, the same things I'm interested in. And I didn't realize how big this world of pop figures and collectibles and people that talk about, nostalgia or just general pop culture was. So I really enjoyed being part of this now. And, the newbie, obviously the freshman on the block. So again, this is why you see certain little things that I'm like trying to figure out. But, like I said, it's growing pains, and we'll get through, and some stuff I'll learn, certain etiquette that I probably not aware of yet. But as we continue to do these lives, I will invite you to it. Christian, unfortunately, has an issue with his internet, so he will not be able to come back on, but I will have him back on. What I want to do now is really just ask you real quick, Mitch, is when did you start in the community?
Actually, I kind of stumbled across Funko Pops, and I saw that I've always been a big fan of the Monty Python and Holy Grail, and I was scrolling through something on the internet one day, and I saw that they had these vinyl figures that and they had like a line that was Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and the very first pop I ever bought was actually the Black Knight from Monty Python, and they do a Entertainment Earth exclusive one, which is him. It's called Flesh Wound.
Oh yeah,
he cut off both of his arms, and his arms were laying in the box, and he's just got like stubs, like bloody stubs, basically. A little dark there, but if you've seen the show or the movie, it's a hilarious part of the movie. But that's the first one I ever bought. Then I was going online and on YouTube and kind of looking up. I was like, what are these things? And I stumbled across, channels like Sean Ryan Toys and Games and the Luau and Pop Couple and Franchise Kicks and just all these YouTube channels that and found out that there was a community to this. And this has been going on 3 years now, I'd say. And I just started going and watching their videos, and they're getting in their live streams and being in the chat, and just got to kind of know people through that. And then, the rest is history, I guess. But, and then I got encouraged to, when this whole COVID thing hit, I'd been going on lives with people. And if you ever watch some of the live streams I was in when I first started, I mean, it was rough because I just hop on other people's channels, and I was on my laptop, using my webcam from my laptop, and I had my earphones, my headphones from my cell phone, and there was always like a humming noise going on whenever I'd come on, and it was just. Did
you get any flashbacks as you see me going reaching around and grabbing things?
Oh, no, I'm talking about just going on live streams with people at first. That's before I even started my channel. I didn't start my channel honestly until the whole COVID thing started.
Oh, really? Oh,
and it was after that started. I was home bored, because we had shut down for about a month and a half, and everybody's like, why don't you start a channel? You're going on lives with people. Then, they nicknamed me the live slut because I go around to everybody's channel.
Yeah,
sure, I'll go live with you, sure.
You're the most live stream YouTuber, so I'm honored to have you here as well. But one of the things that I love is that in a time where so much is going on out in our world, that I think that everyone needed that kind of mental break and just talk about things that they enjoy, they like. And I think this community really brings people together in a time where people do need to be brought together. So, I'm interested to see, who the future guests are going to be, and getting people on here and discussing the, pop culture in the sense of bringing our own perspectives, of hearing people's ideas, some of their memories, and what certain things mean to them. So I'm really looking forward to that. So I figured while I have you here, I was just do my first unboxing from FYE. So some people probably know, and also probably don't. I sent I don't know if Dead Zone or Eric or I sent the StreamYard to you guys if you want to jump on if you're not busy. So it's there if you need to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to do something a little, different here than I'm used to. Again, I'm showing you, this is my behind the scenes shot here. So let's see. Let's hope I don't cut myself. Cut away. That was the first mistake I made when I was on the others live streams. I cut toward.
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't do that, right? So hopefully, I always said have there ever been people that live, they accidentally stab and break the thing?
I've seen people cut into boxes before and not totally destroy them, but I've seen people cut them before.
Yeah, wow.
Like those marks that you see on some of the boxes you get at Hot Topic and thing, or not even. It was, I think it was Target for the longest time. Almost every pop you got from Target had the box cutter mark on the top of it, and you're just like, wow.
Well, here he is, Mr. John and the Juice Crew. Box hype. What's in the box? As Dallas likes to say, what's in the box? Oh, styrofoam. Let's see. Here we go. What's this? Oh, this is interesting. First thing, a 100 wine.
Oh, yeah, it's a wine.
A wine. And for a minute, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, it's like a subscription thing, I think.
It is.
Nice.
Iron Bob.
Iron Bob.
Iron Bob. Here he is. I love Kevin Smith, obviously, being from New Jersey. Local boy makes good. Kevin Smith, one of my inspirations in becoming a director. The View universe, and also I frequently go to the Secret Stash, Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash down in Red Bank. It's about 45 minutes from here. So let me do a quick close up for those. Here's Iron Bob shared sticker, correct?
Correct.
Yep. Make sure I get my terminology appropriate. So there's that. I want to open the Dead Zone one, but with him on here. So let me go back to normal view. I have here. I figured, I don't know why, if it was some sort of good luck. I first, when LBD had asked me, what was your first pop figure? Well, I actually happen to have my first pop figure right here. It's out of the box, but it was
Captain Phasma.
It was given to me by a former student of mine, Moses. Not sure if he's in in the chat, if he's watching, but if he watches later, Moses, a big thank you and a shout out. You don't realize it, but you actually started me on my Funko journey here. So it was this Captain Phasma, obviously out of the box, but this belonged to him. He gave it to me as one of his parting gifts when he graduated, and I've always kept it on my desk. But now, since part of the phase of cleaning everything at our school is, they asked us to take all our personal items off. Since they're going to be doing cleaning, they need all surfaces cleared. So most of my stuff ended up coming home with me. As you can see behind me, that used to be in my classroom. So that's that. Let's do another. I have a bigger box.
Looks like LBD just showed up.
Oh, he's here.
Yeah, he's in the chat there.
He's in the chat. I wonder if he can. LBD, are you able to? Let me see.
I don't think he has Wi-Fi.
He doesn't have Wi-Fi.
I don't believe so.
Okay. So
I think he's just got cellular service.
Again, a big shout out to LBD, who is really, again, a good friend of mine growing up, long time. It's like his family, really. So
it was funny being on stream with you guys and you all calling him JP.
Yeah,
I knew his name was Jean Pierre, but I call him that every once in a while when we're talking on the phone. Like, what's up, JP? He's like, man.
Another box. This is from GameStop. Let me not show my address.
Yeah. That's why I have Yo Box.
It's probably something I gotta get.
Yeah.
Not probably, I definitely have to get. Okay. Away and away. What's in the box?
What's in the box?
What's in the box? And guess what's in the box? More boxes.
Of course.
More boxes. So, pull one out. Here it is. And let's
it's the bottom.
Yep, thank you.
Order.
And it is
Vulpix.
Vulpix. And
Nice.
actually, believe it or not, there's two others. I got 3 of these. Because tune in on Saturday and you'll be able to get a chance at winning one of these. So I bought an extra. I bought extra ones because one of them actually is going to be used for a prize, a giveaway. So there is a flocked Vulpix shared exclusive. So
flocking on that thing is really good.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. I'm like, ooh, it's pretty cool. Let's put that there for now. And let's switch back to normal view. The other 2 are that, so it'll be pointless of unboxing.
LBD said he can try to come in, but he doesn't know if he'll be able to.
All right, we'll see if he can. Let me see if I could.
You want me to send him the link?
I just sent it to him. I was able to do that. Thank you. Cool. If you can see if Dead Zone is available, I tried sending it to him, but I'm not sure if he's busy or not. I'd love to have him on. Oh, let me go back to normal. Clicked on the wrong one. Eventually, we'll make this look even more prettier and stuff. So it should be good. We have the big box I wanted. Let's save it. at, let's go with 8:45. I'm getting 10 minutes. I'm going to open up the big box. That is the biggie. So stick around for that. So Mitch, while we hopefully there's a couple other people joining in, do you have any shows from the 90s that you recall that you remember that stuck out to you?
Man, that's a tough one. That's been a long time ago.
Yeah. Crazy.
I mean,
to think
you've spoken about a bunch of them. I mean, all the shows like The Fresh Prince and Saved by the Bell, even Xena and Hercules. I used to watch those all the time. I love those shows.
I love those shows growing up. Well, we have a Dead Zone in the backstage, and I'm going to be bringing him on now. And what's up, Dead Zone? Welcome. How you doing?
What's happening?
Thank you so much for joining, and again, appreciate it. Taking the time out of your day, both of you guys for joining in on my first stream. So I want to welcome you from. You are from Arizona and Mid-Tennessee, right? So we have, it's interesting that for those people who follow me and are in here supporting me, family, friends, that the community is beyond our borders, right? Than the state borders. It goes all around. It's global. So, at least here we are looking at, just 3 members of now the community, 2 members, just seasoned members of the community that, we're willing to come in and support and help me. So I want to say thank you so much again for joining me. So, and again, I apologize in advance for the stupid newbie mistakes that I'm making as I do this. So I'm learning.
LPD's comment over there in the chat.
You know what's funny is that I was gonna make him a mod. I just didn't think that I was gonna click on him to be one, and then I wasn't sure if his internet was working or not.
Yeah.
See if we can get him. I sent him the thing. They have a generator running, so let's see what happens. But hey, Lisa, how you doing?
What's up, Lisa?
You still unboxing? How you doing?
Corey?
So again, if you're tuning in, I want to welcome you guys. And, I never really revealed too much about my background in terms of what I do. Obviously, I don't want to get too much in detail, but I am a teacher now, an assistant principal. And part of what my goal is for this channel is to really talk about pop culture and how it influences all of us, and why it's become so important, I think, as kind of our escape from what's going on out there. And being able to bring us together, having us be able to lead this discussion, and a lot of the things that I would teach my students on how to watch movies, how to write stories, how to analyze it, or a scene, how to break down a scene, how to act out a scene, doing voiceover work. I've done all this, and I figured, I want to be able to share that with not just my students, but with everyone. So I figure that this is going to be a perfect platform to be able to do that. I also have here in the backstage, who's coming on now, is Eric. Eric, how you doing?
Hey, how are you?
And
Hey, guys.
What's up, buddy?
Welcome. Thank you. I appreciate it. From Cali. All right. From now East meets West here. Now we
East
really,
Coast, West Coast.
we're really bringing everyone from all around. But thank you again for joining, and I owe a big thank you to you, Eric, for bringing me on to the screen stream with Dallas, and for inspiring me, all of you, pretty much being the inspiration for why I've started this to begin with.
Well,
again,
it's actually been a pleasure having you on the show, getting your insight to everything, breaking things down. So definitely appreciate it.
Thank you. So, as I said to you, I promised, especially Dead Zone, he sent me JC, if you're in the chat, you're going to want to see this. JC, who's in the chat, is a good friend of mine, Gene Carlos. Big Dragon Ball Z fan. So, I wanted to open this in front of everyone. And now that I have you here, Dead Zone, let me find my cuchillo, my knife, and do another cut. Before anything, let's do a backstage, behind the scenes thing. Obviously, big shout out to Dead Zone. And let's
being all fancy with the 2 cameras and stuff.
Well, here's the thing. I also lead.
too. You're under monitor there.
Yeah.
I actually am the moderator of our school's TV channel. So a lot of this stuff I ended up bringing home because I was teaching from home. So I figured, wait a minute, I could just put this to good use. So here we are, opening it up. Bubble wrap. Thank you for it being so well done. And here it is.
Nice.
Vegeta.
Powering up Vegeta.
Powering up Vegeta. Let me do a quick
Vegeta.
Part of the collection there. And let's go back. So he will have a spot for him for now. So in about 4 minutes, we'll be doing the big unboxing, which I now have to actually clear space for. But Eric, so real quick, Friday, you host a Scream stream with Dallas, and obviously every week there's a breakdown of horror films. So Friday, I was fortunate enough to be able to pick the topic. So do you want to explain to our viewers what the Friday's topic is going to be?
Killer clowns from outer space. I believe that's the one that you picked. I think didn't you pull a killer clown from outer space like a pop recently, or no? That you know?
I don't have any of them.
No.
Believe it or not.
Did you get any killer clown pops?
Yeah, I did a trade with somebody in the community for the Slim, and then I ended up gifting that to Coffee Madness a while back, and because it was something that they really wanted, because his son and him watched that movie, and so I went ahead and sent it to them. And but yeah, it's the only one I have. The only one I had, but they're pretty cool ones, though, for sure.
Yeah, they look really good.
I've seen the movie a couple times.
But yeah, that's one of the movies that we have chosen to do this week, as far as that goes. For the topic is Killer Clowns from Outer Space. We're still looking at maybe possibly moving the time up a little bit. I know sometimes on the East Coast it's a little hard. Sometimes we get a little bit later. Sometimes people are going to bed. So might be able to move it up a little bit this Friday is a possibility. So,
yeah, no, I'm available, and obviously, it is we're 1 minute away. So I just got to get this thing ready because it is not light. So for people that have just tuned in, you should. One of my backgrounds, a hobby that I had as a kid was, believe it or not, ventriloquism. I had little Alf puppets and little things that I used to have. There's one Alpha puppet in the back there. And then in 2007, I said this earlier, I ordered a ventriloquist dummy that was a replica of a Charlie McCarthy doll. And that is, let me go get him.
How's the weather out where you are, Mitch?
Pouring down rain.
Is it?
It was nice earlier in the day, and then like about right when I was closing the store, it was about probably 6:45. It busted loose, man. I mean, it was so bad. I mean, I was almost hydroplaning on the interstate because it was raining so hard and so much water all at once.
Oh wow.
It's not doing anything right now, I don't think. Yeah, it's not doing anything now.
It was really bad here yesterday, but mostly the wind. Actually, it didn't rain as bad as it was more out west. But here, the winds. There's so many trees down over here, and a lot of people lost power. So I know there was a couple of people that wanted to watch today who lost power and couldn't see, but they'll end up watching this a little later. But hopefully everyone now. No problem. This is Charlie. For those people who don't know who Charlie is, he is a ventriloquist puppet
Charlie.
who I've brought on to the Scream stream and introduced to the community as well, and has his own personality and his own, his own perspective on things. Isn't that right, Charlie? Of course. So this is your first live? Yes, it is, Charlie. Don't screw it up. Don't embarrass us, please don't. So when I brought him on the first time, I was like, oh, people are gonna probably not, react to it well. But he seems to have gotten a pretty good reaction from people. So I like bringing him on and just making him a character on here and just doing something different. I wanted to show him first before I did the unboxing of the next thing. I think it's only fair since Charlie was the first. Your jacket needs to stay on there, but leave me alone. All right. Calm down. What are you going to show? Open the box. All right, calm down, please. I'm going to put him to the side.
Does Charlie have any anxiety about that box?
He does. I've had the box sitting here, and he keeps staring at it, wondering what the hell is in the box and what is not it. But I've said this, if you've tuned in to the Scream stream, I've said this multiple times that I was going to be eventually adding a new resident into the Scream stream and also here on the new channel. So I'm just going to push this back a little bit. Let's see if I can do this without knocking things over. Where's the knife? I'm going to have to do it from this angle. The intensity.
Gotta have that music,
right?
That drama music.
Drama. Eventually, I'll get music right. I had a song. There's a song that I want as to be part of the, my intro, but obviously it's copyrighted. So I got to figure out exactly what the laws. I should know. As a media teacher, I should know what the laws are, but they always are picky. Here we go. Try not to make a mess here.
Lots of paper. At least it's not peanuts.
That's true, right? All this is gonna be way creepier than I anticipated.
We like creepy around here.
Whoa.
Oh, Lord.
Ha. This is the new ventriloquist I got. I had it custom. It's a one-of-a-kind custom made. Let me get his body out.
Oh, wow.
And
that's not creepy at all.
Yeah, it looks like, the way he's looking right now, moving his eyes around like that's creepy.
And this thing is huge.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Just the head of it's huge.
Here he is. In comparison to Charlie. Charlie's goes only up to here.
Yeah, I think you're in trouble, Charlie.
No, I'm not. Get that thing away from me. Here he is. Now people.
So have you picked out a name, or is it like he comes with the name?
Yes,
or?
I do have a name for him, and let's see if the chat agrees with me on it. So I was thinking about it. Hello, how are you? This is Pagliacci, the clown. Now, if anyone who is a fan of Watchmen, you may have heard the story of Pagliacci, great Pagliacci. So hopefully I'm not butchering it here. But the story of Pagliacci was that there was this man once who went to see a psychiatrist, and he told him that, he felt down. He felt that, that life didn't mean anything anymore. He was pretty much at the end of his rope, and he asked us, it's a psychologist, why does life feel so empty? Why does it feel so lonely? And he said, the treatment to this is very simple. There's a clown that's going to be in town called the Great Pagliacci, and you go see him. He'll make you feel better. He knows how to make people laugh and make people smile. And the guy then starts crying and puts his head in his hands, and he says, "But doctor, I am Pagliacci." So it's a story that Rorschach says in The Watchmen, and so that's going to be the name. I think we're going to go with Pagliacci the Clown. I dig it. I got to find the working parts of this. Him, I got to use. You got to use your whole hand on this one compared to Charlie. You just got to use 3 fingers. Let's do a close up of this, so he can. Let's see. I'm just learning the controls here. So this little thing is okay. That moves his eyes. That's his mouth. This one he blinks. It's this one do. Let's see. Oh, eyebrows.
There you go.
And okay, this one's interesting. He wiggles his ears. Okay, so this is definitely different than Charlie, but this is Pagliacci. Yeah, how you doing? I don't know what I'm doing here, so goodbye. So this is gonna be he'll be with me on Friday, Eric. So
okay,
good. And so let me get Dead Zone back in. Sorry, Dead Zone.
Nah, no worries.
Dead Zone. I just unboxed Charlie's new buddy. Not my buddy.
No.
Pagliacci the Clown.
No, I was watching. I was opening a box of something that came and trying to mess with it real quick.
Pagliacci was ordered from the Horror Dome. It's a studio that does a special effects and stuff in the Long Island, in that area. So he's actually was designed with the killer clowns in mind. So the brothers that directed, basically, that were part of the storyline of it, basically, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong here, but if I'm not mistaken, they were starting to put together concepts for a sequel or for some sort of event, and that's how he was designed for that, and it never happened. So he sat there, and he's a one of a kind and unique ventriloquist puppet. So
hey, Tori,
he'll be there on Friday for the show. So
nice.
So this is interesting, a new addition to the collection.
Okay.
Collection. So I'm still working on my ventriloquism there. But so I think he'll be a great addition to that. I got to be careful and extra careful with this thing. Let's put him in the box.
Mr. Johnson likes the voice you gave him.
Yes, so that is my friend John, who designed my logo. So a big thank you to him. And the Poopsy voice is an inside joke that I won't go too into detail. But yes, I gave him the Poopsy voice. That's my honoring, the Poopsy voice, since he did the logo for me. So Dead Zone, I didn't, I got into some of the backstory with Mitch, but for the guests that obviously are just tuning in, do you have any shows that you remember from the 90s that you enjoyed?
Shows from the 90s.
Or films from the 90s?
Yeah, well, in the '90s, I was pretty much I was deep into playing music. So
Okay.
I, I
Any
I didn't
music
watch
from
a whole lot of anything. I just I jammed and played in a band and stuff for a long time. So I did that a lot more than watch TV or, you know what? I've been really kind of just focused on computer stuff. You know, graphic arts and stuff like that, and then the band stuff. And so I never really watched too much TV, but
any
90s.
music from the 90s?
What's that?
Music from the 90s? That's still part of this. That sticks out to you?
Oh yeah, I mean all the '90s, anything
I'll be right
metal,
back.
you know, anything that had to do with thrash, you know, grunge stuff. So anything from Seattle was cool. Pantera, you know, all kinds of different stuff that I was into at that point. But most of it was like, you know, practicing with my band every day and then playing shows on the weekends and stuff. So,
So no Spice Girls, no Spice Girls Dead Zone.
Oh my
Well,
God.
we did that. Half of the bands I played in had a female lead singer, so you know it was just more of an alternative type stuff. But yeah, you know, actually got some videos on YouTube from like long time ago, 15 years ago, 12 years ago, something like that. However long ago it was, but yeah, it's yeah. In the 90s, I was pretty much deep into music and just playing all the time, working and then playing and yeah, like practicing like every single day, at least 5 times a week we'd practice and stuff. So
When did you get involved in the community and started? Like, what was your beginning like? We talked about Mitch with this before, so I figured, in all fairness, let me just work my way around. Do you remember your first video or your first? What was that like?
my first video was just recent, so
Oh, okay.
I mean, I was on I was on lives a bunch, and then I did the collector swap first one, and the requirement was you had to make a video, so I had to make my first one there, and my second one will probably be on the second round of that's coming up here too. But I mean, I was in the background for the most part. I mean, I saw a lot of these people, you know, doing videos and stuff like that. Sometimes a live here and there, and then when lives started getting a little bit more popular, then I kind of jumped in. But yeah, basically around December, January of this year is when I kind of started posting. Like, I'd be in there, I'd just be kind of lurking around, just listening and watching. I wasn't doing anything else, but yeah, I was just watching a lot and wasn't commenting and stuff. But then I started to, and then then you know, I jumped on a couple lives with did some waffles or stuff with a couple channels, and then that kind of introduced me to a few other people like Mitch, and then shortly after, you know, Eric and stuff was around, and so, and it was just kind of this, you know, and LBD was always there. You know, LBD came to my house. He flew out here and visited me and brought me a bunch of pops that I had won from another channel, and yeah, it was cool. You know, I mean, I've already met some super fantastic people. Mitch has been super cool. You know, Eric also has been super cool, and just watching some of the stuff like Eric does, like from where he came from at the beginning. I mean, it was kind of hard to watch some of the videos because it wasn't very, you know, it was so grainy, and it was just like on the phone, or I don't know where he was doing on. But now, I mean, the progression from where he was at from then to now is huge. It's awesome. And then, you know, he's doing the stream, he's doing the sports talk. It's awesome to see just everybody kind of doing what they like to do and kind of morphing into something else, even though, the Funko Pops was kind of the thing that kind of started it. So it's cool. Hopefully, other things come out of it, and it's been fun so far. And there's been some hiccups along the way, but hey, that happens, right?
I like that we call them growing pains, but be interesting. Thank you, Eric. What was your start like?
Well, it was in February. Once we started with this COVID and we were home, I was like, okay, what are we gonna do? And the boys were like kind of driving me nuts, and I was like, they wanted to start a YouTube channel. They've wanted to, but they've never had like the confidence or to do it. And I was like trying to think of something that we all like. And obviously, with superheroes and Star Wars and monsters and stuff. And I started researching, and I saw, Funko stuff, and I was like, oh, we could probably do something like this. And so, I mean, it started, and like Dead Zone said, I mean, we had no clue, I mean, we didn't expect, for things to go in certain directions. When you start it, you just want to have fun, just me and my boys on a journey. And that's kind of how we were looking at it, like just kind of go out there and just learn as much as you can. And then you start meeting people in the community, like Dead Zone and Mitch and LBD, and you have conversations. And even though they're like East Coast, West Coast, Central, whatever the case may be, you find out like you relate to these people. Like, I mean, Mitch is a Tombstone. He loves Tombstone. I like Tombstone. It's like you learn, how these guys are in relation with other channels. And it's not just about the Funko Pops. I mean, sure, it brings people together. We've all gone to bat, like Dead Zone. You learn how he's very generous, how he helps people. He doesn't open boxes a whole lot until like maybe 6 months down the road. But it's the thing is he contributes in such a great way that it just spreads. And then like with Mitch, I mean, he's gotten so many names. Whether it's Slut Whore to Sexy Beard, to it's just like so. I heard you.
live slut.
Actually, I got Mitch. I heard this is at least a compliment from my end, but I heard that you are our community's Tom Segura. If anyone is comedian, you got to look him up if you don't know.
But that was the whole thing, was just to kind of find ways to cope, and deal with what was going on, and not just be inside the house stuck. So this is a positive side through the COVID, is that it did bring a lot of people together that I mean, if I was still working in school, I mean, I wouldn't know half of the people at all. I wouldn't have done a channel. So I mean, to be able to meet,
Well, and the sheer amount of lives that started happening when COVID happened, it was like consistently like, and it still is. It's just become a regular thing for a lot of people. So it's been good, and I think it's actually helped a lot of people learn a lot of stuff too about, just the StreamYard and the computer and making some backgrounds and doing some things. I mean, Eric has come such a long way. I mean, he does all kinds of good stuff now, and he knows how to use the stuff, and it's like everybody kind of goes through that. I mean, when I first did the StreamYard, I always, I'd be playing my other one in the background, and I still do it now, but hey.
I still do it from time to time. I'll forget to mute my YouTube. I'm like, oh.
I mean, it's like something that you just need to consistently just do. I mean, once you keep on doing it for a little bit, you're going to get used to it. And if your background seems to be a little bit in the media side, so you're going to be, you're going to have your take on it. So that's going to be cool. I mean, it'll be a fresh idea, a fresh way of looking at things for sure. Because that's why I don't do a whole lot of videos, because I always think I want it to be a little bit different than just opening a box. But and I just don't have time to do it. But I mean, other people are starting to jump in and get it done. I don't know if you guys can keep hearing that. I don't know why it keeps going off on my computer.
Well, and that's why I do some outside sometimes. Like I'll try to do some outside, and I'm still learning about the microphones and stuff. But like when I first did like one of a live stream, I mean, I was like just testing something out. I mean, Mitch came on and helped, and it's like just that's the beauty of it is like you get people that are willing to step up and step in, no matter where we are. So it's you become family and. Like I said, you do have people that are in the same area, like 83 Pop Talk and Yoj and Mitch are somewhere close. And, you got Matthew Kelly and Dead Zone. I'm not that far from Pop Couple and, even taking trips down to Southern California. I mean, so, like Mama J asked me, she said, if you were in a store, could you recognize people? And I was like, well, yeah. I mean, if I saw Mitch in the store, I mean, it wouldn't be hard to see. I mean, even if I was in the aisle next door and I heard his voice, I'd be like, hey, wait, that sounds like Mitch, So, I mean, I think that's the beauty of the months that we've accumulated. We haven't just accumulated months; it's friendships and so that's what I really enjoy out of it. And even with my boys, like I've been able to spend a lot of time with my boys, working on videos, and their confidence being behind the screen, is growing. They've started collecting pops for themselves. Just the generosity of the community. I mean, like Dead Zone has sent us, gifts. So I just think that when you look at this community here, and I don't know how it compares to everything in general, but it's just you really feel accepted. You feel loved, and like it's like I can call probably Dead Zone or Mitch at any time, and they may not get back to me right away, but they'll get back to me, or like I might say, hey, do you need this? And they'd be like, well, yeah, I do need one. And speaking of which, Mitch, do you still need that fig pin thing from the Hot Topic exclusive? Yeah. So I mean, like tomorrow I'm going to Reno, so I'm going into town to look at Hot Topic. So I mean, if I see one, I mean, I'll let you know. But
awesome, man. Thank you.
But that's how it rolls. Is like like I've had people. Like I had somebody, Dancer TV, message me and ask about a Marty McFly SDC pop, that he was looking out for. So I mean, that's what I love about it,
Yeah,
And then even with you, Robert, I mean, when we first did our Scream stream, me and Dallas, and we were trying to see which direction we could take it, and then LBD came on and he said, hey, can we get Robert on? And I was like, well, okay, sure. I mean, like, what's Robert going to bring to the table? Like, what's going on and stuff. And that's what I loved about it was you provided a love for horror, your insight. You were able to say, like what's going on with the movies, the psychological aspect of it. So that's what I enjoyed, and not only that, then we've been able to talk more and get to know each other more. So it's like you start building that camaraderie,
I appreciate it. Yeah, no, I mean, again, it's one of those like the best kept secrets that people don't know much about you, and this is the window into that. So I thought it was important, especially I love Comic-Con. I always go to the New York Comic-Con here. I'm literally like one bus ride away, not even 15 minutes from it. And since it's not, I don't think it's happening. I figured what was the best, alternate to this, and it's, you get this, and I don't have to wait a full year to be able to go to a convention. Now I could, it's almost everyone brings in the people that you would meet at the conventions, you meet here online. So I think that's something that I really appreciate out of this, and being able to talk about it with other people that are passionate about it, or get people to appreciate some things that probably they took for granted or didn't quite understand the first time. So that's why, this first, test at it was 90s, because I knew a lot of people, reflect on those shows from the 90s, Nickelodeon, Fox Kids, and all. So but also to introduce people to the community and members of the community. Here we have a panel full of all three of you guys that are known, and I appreciate you being on here, being able to give people insight of this community that exists, that people probably aren't aware of. Again, some of the people watching here are not aware of this, and so this is kind of their window. Just look at our backgrounds. You'll see that there's a story for everything, and everything has a story. Every pop figure, every collectible, every poster, everything that's there. So that's what I love about this. And then you get to tell stories and go back and forth. And then new people come along, and you meet people from around the country, and now you can say that hopefully when things do calm down, and there's a meetup or something, it's you appreciate it even more.
Yeah. Well, even internationally, I mean, you got M3 Lions, Ken, so I mean, there's people, that are internationally that you start to get to know too. And I just think, and when you see that people are somewhat close, like, obviously JB and Discovery Bay, somebody that might have grew up, like maybe going to the same school as you, or just having a conversation with somebody that, for example, I had a conversation with Sean Ryan, and turned out that he liked one of the baseball players that I actually went to high school with and I knew. And so like, that's that small world, of just basically, with the way this community has presented. And you could pretty much probably sit down and have a good conversation with everybody as if we were like in a bar or a restaurant, and sit for hours and talk. I mean, how many times have we been on a stream where all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, the sun's coming up on the East Coast and you're still up.
We've been on a stream and I fell asleep at the end.
Yeah. I was backstage. I was backstage with Dead Zone. I was backstage with Dead Zone one time. We were talking, and then all of a sudden, I went to go grab something. He came back, and he was asleep in his chair. And I was like, I can't. How do I wake him up? Or whatever. I was just like, okay, somebody needs to cover him up. I'm like tapping on the screen, like Dead Zone, Dead Zone. I mean, he was out. He was exhausted. I mean, he's, so that was fun. A fun time that I remember,
LBD started snoring on us one night.
Yeah.
He started snoring. I'm like, I think he's asleep.
I was. There's a couple of times that you'll find me nodding or I start yawning like crazy. But that 13. Remember, was it 13 hours you guys went that one time? That was crazy. But that I went to sleep, and I woke up and it was still going on.
Yeah, it was like Andrew and Dallas.
They asked me to come back on, and I went back on.
Well, last night, I mean, I went to bed early, and then I woke up at like 9:45, and I looked at my phone, and and Eric was still going.
Well, because we were doing like a show, like a little game thing. From Jackbox TV, and then I was gonna get ready to go off because I was just testing it, but then Ross came on, and Ross is like, "Oh, I want to play Quiplash," and then it was like, "Hey, I'm down for like 5 or 6 games," and but you had people in there that like Quick and Ness, Christina Payne, like they didn't really want to go anywhere at that point in time, so I was like, all right, let's just run it. That's what's fun about that is like, yeah, I mean, even though some people are on the East Coast, I mean, we've been on streams where like Yoj was sleeping and hears people and then gets up and says, oh, because people are listening on their, phone or on their computer or whatever, they hear stuff and it's like a little alarm clock,
I, what was I say? You get to check other people's channels and see some of the, what their like shticks are. And I really have been enjoying it and just learning from a lot of people. So, meeting people and seeing what, how passionate they are about some of the same things that, we're passionate about. I think that's what makes this all, also like worth it. And especially again, now I wish I was I got, like, even though today's, we're on August and I'm just starting my first live, the last couple of months had been, it's basically YouTube just to get my mind off of things because watching the news was just depressing. So I figured, watch different people, different vlogs, and I'm like, this is my background. Why didn't I get into this a long time ago? And I was so used to pre-recorded and edit, make sure it looks good. I don't want to put anything out there that doesn't look good. So this being able to be on other people's channels and guest talk or just hang out, that really got me out of my comfort zone. And I'm still getting there even more, because there's some moments where I'm like, wait, did I say that? Did I do? Does everything look right? But I'm pretty sure that's just the first time jitters most people have. I see Geeky Mama Bear has joined in. Thank you for joining and welcome.
AKA admin.
Admin. Is that what she came in on?
I think
that, man. Wrong account. That's awesome.
Thank you for joining. I will. We're trying to get a lot of people into the, just hearing their background and really, we're talking about the 90s, but also again the community. So everyone's story is really interesting in hearing of how they started and what their first time or was that. But it's interesting that most people it's been recent, and I guess that's because of the COVID, the pandemic that we're all going through. So I guess it's not too late in the game to be joining, but the collection grows. It's funny because I never thought I'd end up bringing most of this stuff home, but I made a nice little spot here in what I'm calling the man cave. And it's you get to sit and look at your stuff. I guess this is what it feels like. Because most of it, again, like I said, it just all this was like around the walls of my classroom. And from time to time, a student will be like, "Hey, here is a gift I got you." This I don't know. Well, maybe you'll appreciate this. But have one student that every year he comes and he gives me the Yankees bobblehead exclusive. Sorry, and that is a Aaron Judge.
Oh, nice
Bobblehead. So Jedi Judge. Every year he goes and he gets me that. So shout out to Jason. I don't know if he'll ever see that. I didn't push this out, the current, only former. And then of course CC Bathia. So every year he brings me them, and I put them up. What fell was a Dilophosaurus, so don't worry. It's calm. It's good. Yay. Something was bound to fall. And obviously I don't pay attention to physics because clearly moving that was going to make it fall. There we go. We balanced it. Very good. Guys, I have my cousin in the background. His name is David, and he is also a big time collector and has an appreciation of the fandom. I'm going to bring him on. So David, give me the thumbs up if you are ready. There we go. And there he is. David, welcome. How are you?
For the record, I gave him the middle finger, not a thumbs up.
Guys, this is my cousin David. We go way back. We basically almost the same age, so we grew up appreciating and loving the same type of thing. So, David, this is Mitch, Eric, and the famous and infamous Dead Zone. So they are members of this community that I've now become a part of. We're talking about the background of that stuff, and also the main topic of this was 90s. So, what were some of the shows that I know you were in the chat earlier, but what were some of the shows from the 90s that you remember that were your favorite?
So many. Batman the Animated Series, Spider-Man the Animated Series immediately comes to mind because those were my two, they were my first superhero TV shows.
Uh-huh.
And the more that I grew up, I understood, man, for a 90s cartoon show, it was pretty dark.
Yes.
Both of them were pretty dark. And for example, last night, actually, I was watching an episode of Spider-Man the Animated Series where Spider-Man loses Mary Jane into the vortex. I don't know if anybody remembers that per se. and then And
Yeah.
then we also have like Batman the Animated Series with Heart of Ice, the Two-Face, Clayface's episodes. Those two come to mind. Dinosaurs.
Oh my God, yes, I love that show growing up.
Again, very many adult jokes in that show as well. And then the ending, the series finale where it's the Ice Age and they don't have to hard to tell Baby Sinclair, yeah, kid, we're dead.
Yeah. What I love, something that I don't know if some people probably are aware of this, so this is nothing new, but one genre that I love teaching in my film studies class is called film noir. And film noir, although it doesn't have a true definition, but the elements of a film noir is basically describing Batman. So film noir was a popular genre, especially in the 40s, which it's more of that, like corrupt detective, corrupt cop type, femme fatale type story. A lot of shadows, a lot of use of shadows and darkness in those films. And the inspiration, behind the creation of Batman and the Detective Comics really came out of film noir. Film noir, you can also think of stories like Dick Tracy, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, the famous classics Double Indemnity, Casablanca, Maltese Falcon. A lot of these that influence, that's that film noir style influence the Batman the Animated Series, which uses a lot of the shadows, because shadows and darkness inside of cartoons and movies represent two things: the darkness of humanity and the darkness of the setting of our story, i.e. Gotham City. Gotham City is a character in and of itself, if you think about it, what happens in every dark alley and all that. So I love that, even we didn't see it then, probably didn't break it down that way, but looking at it now, you get an appreciation for those shows like Batman the Animated Series and even Spider-Man. David, so we have a live chat going, so a lot of people just giving you a shout out, saying hello.
Hello. I don't know how to view that from here, but cool.
If you want to
there we go.
If you want to drop in your Instagram account, if you want,
Sure, it's private, but sure, I'll accept anybody.
So just,
get me to 1,000 followers.
We are all supportive in this community, and I know it's something I really wanted you to be introduced to, because you have your collection. You have your, I
do.
You at the Comic Cons. David teaches graphic novel at his current school. So what is that like? What is like teaching graphic novel?
It's hearing by certain kids, wait, it's not like the movie? And I think that's one common misconception, but I get a lot of the kids very interested, and some of them can actually find the books relatable. So, one of the books I use is Flashpoint. By the way, I don't know how to type on this thing. This is all new to me. So if you want to put my IG there, by all means. I use Flashpoint, and clearly in Flashpoint, the Flash goes back in time to save his mother from being killed.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, him saving his mother has a negative impact on that timeline. And I asked my kids, well, okay, if you knew saving someone you loved would have a negative impact, would you still do it? And you'd be surprised at the answers. And then another book I like doing is The Killing Joke.
Yes.
Because we have a better understanding of exactly what the psyche of the Joker really is.
Mm-hmm.
To many people, it could just be a guy who felt a batch of chemicals and became a crazy clown. But we understand in The Killing Joke that he actually did have a family, well, a wife, and an unborn child that was taken away from him, and a variety of things, which is why I also love the movie Joker, led up to him finally just accepting madness as the new normal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when I showed in media studies, we did a breakdown. So I taught them basic animation through Maya.
Mm-hmm.
And we were doing, early story concept, the storyboarding, putting ideas together, the storyboarding, and then making assets, and then creating an audio team, creating and building sound together. So we kind of worked backwards, and we took The Killing Joke, and we were able to look at the first, I found, early concept of the thing, and then we broke that down, and then we looked at they looked at the graphic novel, then they looked at, and as someone actually animated it, and then we looked at the actual movie, and it was so different. It was looking at those different forms of media, the different interpretations from page to the screen. Was
For everybody who doesn't know what the cover looks like, there it is.
infinite.
Yeah, go on.
Now,
Sorry.
are you guys, Mitch, Eric, Dead Zone? Are you guys fans of The Killing Joke, or Batman the Animated Series in general?
I mean,
Never seen it.
I'm not a huge Batman fan, but I mean, I'm aware of it a little bit, but it's I don't know. It's not really in my neck of the woods,
See,
I
I
remember
watched a lot of
watching the original Batman on when I was a kid.
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching, Adam West as Batman.
Oh, what was that like for you guys? That same, but see, I
Holy 60s Batman.
60s was great. What was that like?
Well, I mean, it was technically probably before all of our times.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But
100%.
that's what we kind of grew up watching that, and like watching Super Friends. Back on Saturday morning cartoons, Super Friends was big with the Wonder Twins and Aquaman and Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman and all that. I used to watch that all the time. I love that show.
And don't forget Gleek the monkey.
Yeah, the monkey. Zan and Jaina and Gleek and I mean, I loved all that stuff back then. So
Speed Racer. I used to watch Speed Racer.
yeah, and like they're coming out with the rumor is Thundar the Barbarian.
Yeah,
they're coming out with pops of him and Ookla, and I'm waiting for Princess Ariel to come out. That'll be probably the next one they bring out. But
aren't they doing that for the STCC? I thought I saw that somewhere.
No, it's not FCCC. I think it might be NYCC, or they may just drop it. So, but no, but yeah. Hey, Robert, I'm gonna have to hop off here, brother. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, thank you for being here and for helping me, and again, helped me fix the little the bumps in the roads I was hitting. I really appreciate it. And Mitch, your that package should be here soon, and I want to unbox that with you. Once it's here. We have someone else before you go real quick who's here. Are you okay, LBD?
I'm in the hospital, bro.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Not the best place I would have wanted to be, but when you get 3 pins of a plug stuck in your foot all the way in,
3 plugs of the pin. Oof.
Like a 3-prong plug into his foot.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
What are you trying to recharge your battery?
I was trying to get up so I can go away from the noise of the generator to be here.
Oh.
And I did it without a light.
That's dedication.
Yeah, I gotta go.
Thank you. Oh, you got it. All right, we'll be back soon, hopefully. If he is, the fact that he even came on, I'm very grateful.
Oh yeah.
Mitch, thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate it. I look forward to to doing more of this and having you as a guest. We'll maybe we'll pick a topic that you would love to be part of that comes up eventually that we could talk about.
Tombstone.
Tombstone.
Yeah.
My hero.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, my hero. Yes, I will be doing we'll definitely do a My Hero topic one. I have a lot of my friends are big on My Hero. So
I live about 45 minutes from Tombstone.
oh wow.
Nice. Night, Lisa.
Tons of
May have
time.
to come out and visit.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Lisa.
That's cool. Hey, But no, I'm always here for you, brother. Congratulations on your first live stream.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good deal, brother. Guys, everybody in the chat, y'all have a great night. Head Zone, Eric, nice to meet you, Dave. Take care, Robert.
Hi, Mitch.
Yeah, see you. Appreciate it. So, Eric, what were some of the shows that you remember growing up that you used to run to? Like, I can't wait to get home to watch for, watch the new episode or.
I mean, I was like, I'm a 80s kid. I mean, I was born in the 70s. So, I mean, but 90s, I mean, you remember like Saved by the Bell and Family Matters and, obviously, some of the, like, I don't know, some of the TV shows, just trying to think, back then,
90210.
yeah, 90210. But I mean, like, I remember like Saturday morning, same thing, Super Friends. I remember watching Dundar the Barbarian, Jabberjaw, Scooby Doo. I mean, stuff like that. Like, I'd sit in front of the TV Saturday morning and just boom, 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 just, plug away. And even like, with the old Batman series, like, I mean, the one that stands out for me is when he's on the helicopter and the shark is trying to get him, like he's out there in the water, but you look at how the shows have come from then to now, and how Batman has obviously been a staple, for DC, other than, obviously the George Clooney version Batman. But, I mean, that's, growing up, I mean, I've done it all, with horror movies, animated films, the cartoons and stuff like Scooby Doo, Yogi Bear. Like I actually just on $7 a pop today, I was able to get the Yogi Bear flocked Yogi Bear pop. I grabbed it because it's part of my, childhood, So
Yeah.
And then actually picked this up from Stop Pop and Roll.
Oh, that is awesome. That's
Yeah.
my first guest here, Christian. I got him that. We were together, David. Remember, we got two of those from Comic-Con.
From Comic-Con, yeah, last year.
Yeah, we bought two.
Simpler times.
Actually, between us, I think we ended up buying four of them. You got two, and I got two.
I think I got three because I got one for a friend of mine.
And I got an extra one for you. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, there you go.
The one I have, I ended up giving to my first guest, Christian, who, there's a lot of internet issues going on because of the storm that we had this yesterday. So, we apologize for some of the guests that unfortunately glitched out. But Christian had that on his desk, but now has it at home, I guess. Because the school we had to basically take all our personal items out. But I love Michael Myers blood splatter FYE exclusive, and there it is. Right?
Like I gotta get it, I gotta get it. So
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, as you can see, definitely a big. But I mean, horror has always been around. So.
Mm-hmm. And Dead Zone, what was your shows growing up? Is there any show that you remember running back, like, I had to see this, or any music that stuck out from a show that you remember that was an influence on your music, career, or the music interest?
I mean, I remember stuff, I mean, I remember, like Garfield and that type of stuff, but I didn't always have I wasn't always pushed on. I was never pushed onto TV. It was always outside stuff. My parents didn't really allow us to watch a lot of TV, so a lot of it for me was stuff that I can like I said, Speed Racer. I remember a lot wanting to watch it. But I spent a lot of my time at record stores and listening to a lot of stuff, because that was something that I was able to do, more of, just kind of more of being imaginative about those type of things. You know, I think that's why I gravitated towards music a lot more when I was younger and wanted to play music and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I remember like the A Team. I couldn't.
Oh yeah, the A-Team.
I mean, I was like, I couldn't wait for the A Team to come on. You know, so you know, movies. I remember seeing the Karate Kids, one of my faves, and I remember seeing that you matinee with my dad one day when I should have been at school.
Yeah.
Took me to see a matinee of that, and remember that there was nobody in the theater. It's like basically we were the only ones there, so it was super cool, and I like that type of stuff. So that was cool, and you know, so
What was some influence for you for music? I mean, I know you did music. What was some of the influence?
um, so I mean, I had such a wide range of stuff that I like to listen to, all from metal um, to rap. I mean, I remember being I mean, I grew up in Southern California, so I mean, I grew up I mean, in the '90s and stuff. I mean, I lived in Hollywood for a little while too, so I mean, I remember being there doing all the music scene stuff. I mean, I was in a record store and bought like Appetite for Destruction when it first came out, when it was on big billboards and stuff. When it was just brand new, and I remember being in LA, buying NWA Straight Outta Compton,
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I like listening to Boogie Down Productions and all kinds of different stuff. But I mean, I remember, Beastie Boys, everything from like, and then just really being into the thrash stuff, Slayer and Metallica was kind of a thing I liked. More of my friends liked it, but Jane's Addiction was a huge influence for music for me. I mean, I saw them play when they didn't even have a record deal. I've seen them play. So, yeah, I mean, I was kind of in that realm. I mean, musically, stuff. What's up, dude? How you doing?
Yeah, I had to cut off because the nurse was coming in.
Listen, first of all, thank you for braving that and being on here. I appreciate that. That you're even here for that. We get there. Sorry, Dead Zone. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's all good. I'm good. Let's talk about LBD now.
Yeah. So, what's going on, LBD?
So apparently,
break it down.
The thickest part of the plug went in all the way. The other one looks like a more bruising than anything. I might have cut myself, but there was definitely penetration. I can say that.
That's what she said.
And it's a lot of weight into that plug, so it's not pretty.
So what did you do? Like, I mean, that's what I'm trying to.
I literally got up trying to walk out my room door, and that plug was right on the floor. It's my left leg, so I don't have as much control over my left leg because of my disability. So when I put the foot down, I don't always feel everything. So when I put it down with all the weight, and it went just, I screamed in Spanish a lot, and not nice things.
Oh, wow.
So do you have to get a tetanus shot now? Are they gonna?
Yeah, pretty much, because I don't even remember the last time I got one.
Yeah.
Make sure to charge your phone while you're there and there's power there.
Yes.
Yeah, I got my charger with me. There was like 3 pulls of. Like that's why I thought it was more than just one plug. One of the things of the plug too. Because first of all, I couldn't see any of the metal, and it just looked like it was sticking out of my foot. Looks like it was trying to take energy out of me.
So
But it doesn't.
how long are you gonna be there? Are you gonna
I
be
don't
there over
know.
like?
I just came into the hospital right now. When I came in the first time, I just got into the room. I'm initially didn't feel them as much pain. It was more burning than anything. The pain's starting to come in. Trust me.
Oh wow.
I'm starting to feel it. Yeah, they said, yeah, that's your adrenaline wearing off, and yeah. Well, happy first stream. I
I
guess
appreciate
something
it.
happened.
I wanted just to say for those people who are watching that, and who don't there again, there's some people here that are not in the community, but this is LBD, my lifelong friend here, John Piet. Again, grew up with him. I owe it to him and reconnecting with him. Who introduced me to Eric, to Dead Zone, to Mitch, to everyone you see in the chat. Christina, Lisa, Natalie, Mama Bear, all of them. I owe all this to you, and I appreciate everything that you've done and where we're gonna go from here, and the fact that you literally are still streaming here even from the hospital wounded.
Yeah.
That's friendship. I appreciate that.
He's almost as bad as Mitch.
Yeah.
It's kind of your fault I'm here. So
I know. That's the terrible part. Did you
Right.
Start giving your list of pops that you want.
it's
Yeah.
not Patch Adams.
I want one of those Zenos.
He's not Patch Adams, but he can make you
Oh,
laugh.
yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, I've seen it. I actually got a chance to see it before they took me in the ambulance. Yeah, I heard the Rorschach story. Oddly enough, that's one of my grails. The
Oh yeah,
Rorschach.
Bloody
The bloody
Rorschach.
Rorschach is one of my grails.
Now there's something creepy about him that I noticed when I came in. Look at those teeth.
Oh
They
Jesus!
look real.
Yeah, maybe they're dentures. Did
I'm
you
looking
check?
at it like, wait a minute. I wonder who customized this. These teeth look real.
Yeah, he's gonna be like a Twilight Zone. You're gonna be sleeping, and all of a sudden you're gonna hear something in the middle of the night, walking around.
And it's gonna be him holding Charlie's head.
Oh yeah.
My wife wouldn't let me have that in the house. By the way.
By the way, anybody in the chat, if you're saying anything to me, I can't see it right now, but I'm pretty sure Christina's saying something positive for sure. So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh my God, she's been so helpful. Again,
Oh, yeah, she's amazing.
you're you're sticking around or you gotta go?
Well, I got nothing better to do. I'm just watching the Yankees.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's up to you.
Yeah, no.
How's the weather right now? Has the weather gotten any better? Is it steady, or is it getting worse? Or
We got steady weather. It's normal, really. And it's just that initial one but there's still no power. What's gonna piss me off is that if they fix the lights and like all the electricity while I'm in here, like if say I have to stay here, if tomorrow the lights come back on, I'm gonna be real pissed because I literally could have avoided this whole thing.
because weren't you thinking like you might be without electricity for like a week,
Yeah,
something like that?
pretty much.
In a week, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
You know
like-
what's crazy? I was supposed to record the night after the storm. I was supposed to record, and I was talking to Des. I was like, "Oh yeah, I got some stuff in, blah blah, whatever," and I didn't do it because I was actually on the phone with you and Christina, and I didn't do it the next day. And then the next day we had no power. I was like, "Shit." What?
See, we told you. We said you could have did it right there and then. We could have did a live one. Just recorded it right there. You, me, and
I
Christina.
know, right? I would have known what was in those boxes. I have no idea what's in there. I just know there's more than I know. There's got to be like $150 somewhere in that box.
See what I pulled earlier?
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, what is that?
I pulled this out of a $60 Toy USA box that I got in January.
Is that the Cuphead?
What is that?
Black Devil or whatever.
Huh.
He's PPG like 175.
Jesus. Did you check the track record of it? What it was like a few months ago?
Yeah, it was about the same for a while.
Oh, okay.
I guess I can check from what January, right?
Yeah, that would be interesting to see. Like, what if you got a $60 pop and it just shot up?
Yeah.
To show you
That's
the
all.
Iron Bob came in
Iron Bobby.
and the flogged Vulpix.
Yeah.
You
And that's
saw
the
it.
part I
I
was.
got
See, when you were saying Flag Vulpix is when I stepped on it.
Oh, really? So it's this Vulpix fault.
Yes. I think, honestly.
Now this is
I
the
don't-
one I got two others. This is the one I
Yeah.
got to keep because the story funny. Oh wow, you got the Michelangelo.
Yeah.
That's the
con
thing.
sticker.
Yep.
Con sticker, nice.
Nice.
Where'd you get that? You managed to order it or?
Yeah.
I got on that day. So basically, when I had everything in my cart and everything was spinning around and around, I just I tried on my phone and I tried on the computer, and I just I said screw it. I just got rid of everything and I went back in, and I mean I was able to add this to the cart and I just went with it. I was like, I'm gonna at least get one thing. I'm gonna try to get one thing. So. I was like, as much as I didn't realize that you could just start putting a lot of things in your cart, because I thought that maybe time wise, like it was basically like, go get it, go get it. So that's kind of how I was thinking. Otherwise, I probably would have put a little bit more. But on my phone, I had Black Lightning, and then on the computer, I had the Michelangelo, and there was something else that I had on there too. And then just went through that whole situation. And but luckily, I went back in and I was able to put it in the cart, and I just waited for it to spin and spin, and then finally it went through.
No.
Yeah, listen here, man. That's still a sore spot for me. I just gave up. The last thing left in my car was a Mewtwo, and that's where I decided I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna get out of Pokemon, and it was just like mocking me. I was like, so you're all that came through, and I just want to get rid of all of them.
The three that I wanted was the Flock Mewtwo, the Mr. Freeze, and the Michelangelo.
Well, Mr. Freeze, I was able to get at GameStop. It was one of the last ones they had with the Hello Kitty. So I was able to get that, but I wanted the Nightcrawler, and I was in line at Hot Topic. Like I waited an hour outside the mall, and then when they opened up, you wait in another line, and it's like the first 6 people that went in there, they allowed them to get 5 each. So it's like they were done. Yeah, I mean it's just like it was ridiculous.
2 at most, but even then.
Yeah, it was just really ridiculous how they handled that. And
I heard some people got like 10 of them. Like you could get 10 of them.
for each, well, some places might. I know that they said that 5 was, definitely the number, which didn't really make sense. I mean, something like that, a Comic-Con, exclusives, it's like it's not like there's going to be that many of them, and you're allowing only.
Before like for ECCC, like you didn't have that many people trying to go get anything or whatever. Like people were really like they tried, but like those things sat on the shelves forever. And
Yeah.
now it's a whole different story.
Well, actually, when I was in Hot Topic, there was they still had Santana in there as well from the previous con.
Zatanna?
Yeah, Santana. She's like $30. But I mean, once in a while you might luck out and get something, or maybe there's some stuff that fell through that people didn't pay for or something, and then I don't know. So like tomorrow, I'm going to go to Hot Topic tomorrow and check it out and see. I told Mitch I was going to check and see on those pins, but I mean, also Stephen Carey said that he might have an extra Nightcrawler for me, so we'll see.
Guys, I'm watching baseball. Somebody just got hit with a baseball. So I still don't think he's in as much pain as me, but we'll see.
Tell somebody to throw a baseball at you and see.
I have. I have. Well, I guess, I don't know. Yeah, but see, he probably has. There was no penetration. He can kiss my ass. Well, I had something go inside of me.
Penetration.
That's what she said. All
Well,
right.
guys, I'm gonna hop off. If you guys are still on, I don't know when the doctor's coming, but I'm pretty sure they're coming soon.
I'm
Tell
actually
them to bring you some good food. You know, put an order in for like a cheeseburger or something.
Yeah. Well, I am
Some-
actually hungry, so we'll see how that goes. All right, fellas.
I'm gonna end it in 10 minutes anyway, so I'm gonna hit the 3 hour mark and then that we'll call it a day. We're
All
already
right,
2 hours. It's crazy how much, but
I'll be in contact with you guys and anybody in the chat who's been talking to me. You know, thank you for coming around and showing the support because I remember the first live stream. It's pretty crazy. So,
I know.
all right, guys.
Take
Joe
it easy,
Cook
man.
Joe Cook said he had 2 concussions and a broken finger, but never any penetration.
My buddy Joe Cook, he's another teacher in our school.
Nice.
Great guy, great someone, very knowledgeable, especially in history.
Get better, LBD. Get better.
Yeah.
So, any words, public words of wisdom that you guys would like to pass on as I do this, as I begin this new, this new channel. It's had its little, kinks along the way, but
That's the way it needs to be.
yeah.
It needs to be that way because, I mean, like I said earlier with Eric, I mean, it's been a progression. I mean, I've been watching him since I mean, I didn't know that he was that new. Then I just he was in the community, and I try to watch as many people as I can, but it's a progression. He does stuff outside, he does stuff inside, mixes it up. It's cool. So, I mean, I would say just do your thing, whatever you feel is right, do it.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
you have. I mean, you did the channel for you. That's how you started the channel, was for you. So, everything that you do, you need to do it because of stuff that you like. Because of what you're attracted to, what you want to talk about. I mean, I know for me, like I've just been watching people, learning, seeing how people do stuff, and even like like Dead Zone said, when I came in, I started seeing people for the first time, and then how they progress in some of their channels, like for example, like Geeky Mama Bear, 83 Pop Talk, even like Midge, has always been on lives, but then he goes and does his, videos, Yoj. So I mean, and then once you get into like live streams, you meet people a little bit more. Like I was really like kind of terrified to go on a live, but like, Geeky Mama Bear invited me on one of hers, and I was like, I didn't really say very much, and that's the thing is you just kind of learn and you progress, like what's working, what's not working. The technical stuff, I mean, it's going to happen, with your weather and just, you can even, stuff will be going really good and all of a sudden just a glitch, something happens, but I definitely think for you, just continue to just look at it as like you got a ball of clay and you can shape it any way you want, you do it any way you want to go. It's your channel, your baby.
Nothing is a big deal.
Yeah.
You make a mistake, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I was like, you know what? And I always hesitated. Again, like I said, I do the morning announcements every day, pre-recorded at our school, and I've always was hesitant to do live, at the school. I know how that would work, but again, certainly the stream in particular really broke me out of that, that shyness, and why I'm much more comfortable being able to do this. I'm doing this, and I'm looking, and I'm like, oh my god, it's already about to be 3 hours. That's crazy. And it did not feel, usually when you're nervous, like it feels like forever. But I'm like, this felt like, it felt quick, and we're already at 3 hours, but, I do appreciate.
Yeah, we all do this. So, I mean, it's like, everybody's very supportive. So it's easier to be in front of, the stream and realize the people that are coming in and hanging out with the chat, they're going to be supportive of you. People that can come on and sometimes they can, sometimes they can't. And then, like I said, each live stream, I mean, you never know how it's going to take, form. Like you said, I mean, I didn't expect for that one live stream to go to 7 in the morning or keep going or whatever. Dead Zone's been on a few of them. I mean, we just, you have some games, LBD's lives. I mean, so everybody's doing some different stuff. And that's what's great about it too, is it's not the same thing of like just come on the stream and open a box. It's everybody's putting a spin on something, everybody's being creative. And then on the stream you have different people that are, you look on there and you're like, oh wait, I haven't seen this person with this person. It's not the same 5 every time or the same 6. And then now you can get 10 on the stream and it makes it exciting too. So I mean, I that's why I'm saying, like, I'm glad that we got a chance to meet you. I think you bring a lot with the Scream stream, so I really appreciate that. And any kind of help you need, like I said, feel free to reach out at any point in time. And congratulations with your first stream. So
Thank you. And again, to the people watching, please make sure that you also show love and support to Eric on his channel, Two Boys and Their Pop, and Dead Zone Citizen. Make sure that you go support them. Mitch, LBD, Christina, all those that have been in and instrumental in helping me be able to pull this off, and without too many obstacles in the way. But it was definitely an easier transition having that experience with you guys in your channels. And please make sure that you guys tune in. It's 9 our time. It's 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But it is, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 6 your time.
6 our time.
6 Pacific, 9 Eastern Standard Time for the Scream stream. I am working on some quizzes for that. I was going to try to do a quiz like in this channel, but I just realized it's a little too much to try to pull that off right now. But definitely come in and join Eric and Dallas, who I wish was able to be here too, but be able to join and support their channel too. And I'll be there. We'll be talking about killer clowns from outer space, and doing a breakdown of that, and also phobias. I'm going to be talking about that through the psychology of phobias and the fear of clowns, coulrophobia, obviously.
And then we'll do some Quiplash too. Some Quiplash.
Yes.
So,
which is fun. My friend said we used to play Quiplash here in the house. Well, not here, my old house. We were projecting things and some wild answers. But I'll have Pagliacci there and Charlie. So that'll be interesting.
I'll give you another exclusive on your show, Robert. To follow up Scream Stream the following week, we're going to probably have the Dead Skeleton is going to come on. I reached out to him and talked to him, and he said that he can do it on the following week. So we need to come up with a good topic of a movie. But yeah, I mean, he's going to come on, and maybe Chris from K&L. So, that'll be a lot of fun from that. And I will also say, sometimes when you do plan things and you write things down, you say, okay, I want the show to go this way or whatever. It is tough. So, you just got to realize that sometimes you just roll with it, and you just kind of just do what you got to do. You're not going to always get everything in. But the main thing is just to have fun and realize that even if something goes wrong, it's okay. We all go through it, and we're all here for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And, again, those of you watching, if you can, I'm just going to say, as we come to the conclusion of the stream, please make sure that, again, you support all those that have been supportive of me. Please subscribe to the channel, like, if possible, share, and hit that bell icon for the notifications anytime we post. So, with that being said, what's one last thing that you would say is, I want to do something a little different, in that I want people to kind of leave here knowing a little bit of a message. Know that a true sign of someone's intelligence is not knowledge, but rather their creativity and their imagination. And I want people to come here with their imagination to be able to talk about their, some of the things that they've been creative on. Don't be afraid to jump in and say that you want to come in and talk about something that you're interested in, so we could have this conversation. I think opening up your imagination and being able to talk about some of the things that we are all interested in, because as I was telling Dead Zone. Just mentioned this last time. Is all these things that we look around with someone's crazy idea, and look at it. Look, there's a whole community that loves this stuff and that talks about it and that brings people together. So that's mainly the point of this channel. And I hope that you guys from different backgrounds in the chat, those of us on a panel, that we were able to bring in and either make your day or bring something new up that you're interested in. But it's really bringing people together and being able to share our appreciation and our love for all things pop culture. So keep that in mind and know that that's what's going to be popping on this channel, pop culture and your take on it. So I appreciate it. Again, Eric, thank you so much for joining Dead Zone.
Wait, this isn't going to be a cooking channel?
No,
I thought this was going to be a cooking channel. No.
No.
Oh, okay.
Maybe we'll do some recreation of certain things in food. But
cooking.
A big thank you to Christian, who was on earlier, my buddy Christian Gonzalez, to Jonathan Ruda, who's there briefly, of course, Mitch, to LBD for suffering what he suffered through to be here and still from the hospital. And, of course, my cousin David, and for all those watching, Joe co-workers, friends, Christina, thank you so much. You are amazing. I appreciate thank you for doing this. To everyone who came out in the community. So many to name. I'm sorry if I didn't name you, but thank you so much. That's the conclusion of the stream, and I'll be going live again most likely on Saturday. I will be posting on my Instagram, obviously here at Wobbasaurus_Rex. So Saturday we'll post a topic and all so you guys can come and support. So thank you so much for your support and tune in again. Please subscribe, hit the bell icon notification, and of course share. Please share. I appreciate it. Take care, guys. That's what's popping.